Welcome back to another episode of the Double V Sports Talk. I'm your host, Brian Voles, alongside my brother and co host, Matthew Voles. And today we've got a phenomenal guest on the show. He is from Mobile, Alabama. He is a Wake Forest graduate, a North Greenville grad school graduate, and the current running back coach at Charleston Southern University, Tyler Bell. Tyler, appreciate you being with us today, man.
Man, yeah, appreciate you having me, man, for sure, for sure.
And so we're excited about having you on the show. Get to dive into some pretty cool topics here. So, man, this running back free agency has been
hmm
absolutely insane. It's got to be probably the biggest move from the running back position that I can remember since I started following NFL ball in like 94, 95.
I'm about to say that's. I mean, they go back to before I was born, so my whole life I ain't never seen it. You know what I'm saying? So it get a little crazy for me, but yeah, definitely that free agency right now is going crazy, especially for the running backs. I mean, I feel like people just finding a little bit more value in the running back position. You know what I mean? Which I think is definitely a testament to why these guys are moving and how they're moving. You know what I'm saying? But like I was saying earlier, my favorite probably moves is definitely Saquon. One of my favorite moves is Saquon, but him going to the Eagles is definitely overpowered. He's definitely gonna be able to fit into that offense, and he's gonna be explosive. You know what I mean? He's gonna be a guy that's gonna be running through people. You know what I mean? Just bringing that
100%.
toughness that the Eagles already got. Like
Absolutely.
that they already got, and then I feel like my probably my the most overpowered, my favorite for real is probably definitely Derrick Henry. You know what I mean? Derrick Henry going to the Ravens just because I think that him and Lamar together, Lamar is already a problem. You know what I mean? Like playing
100%.
against Lamar in college, like I always tell you, that's one of the best athletes I done played against. You know what I mean? Like he's ridiculous on the field. He's just a different athlete running around out there. You know what I'm saying? But
No,
those
absolutely.
are definitely probably my favorite two moves right now.
No, without a doubt, man. Saquon, did you see what the GM said about him leaving?
Nah,
All right, so the GM came out and was like, we didn't sign him in week 6 because we didn't sign him in week 8 because we were 2-6 and we were still trying to win some games, and we figured we could just get the deal done at the end. Or we weren't trying to trade him because we were still trying to sign him. We were trying to win some games, but you still have all that time in there. Like, man, if you don't want to pay the man, then that's on you. Like, don't come out complaining that you were focused on trying to win games. Like, you can pay that dude whenever you damn well please. The same way with the Panthers, they could have paid Brian Burns whenever they wanted to, and
never.
whatever. And, at least the Panthers were able to trade him. They at least franchise tagged him and then trade him. The freaking Giants got zero, nothing from him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how do you let a franchise player like that walk and you have nothing to say about it? You get nothing from it. You know what I mean? It's like, but that's what happens when people just play with other people. You know what I mean? When you play with them this whole time, and
Especially someone that wanted to be a giant. He wanted to be a giant all of the rest of his career,
so
but they didn't want him as bad.
I mean, yeah, he was committed to it. It But hey, their loss, Eagles game, like you said. Now the Eagles, with Hurts and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, like, dude,
like, what do you do? Like, what do you do? You know
you
what I mean?
got two of the top 10 receivers in the league. You got a top 5 running back in the league, maybe top 3,
I'm about to say probably top three, but
and you got a top 5 quarterback back there. I mean, like, I don't know what you do. I don't know how you stop that. How do you plan for that from a defensive perspective,
And they
especially when you got to run a quarterback?
don't
I
forget
mean, what do
about
you do?
the top five, top 10 easily offensive line.
100%. Yeah. I mean, even without Jason Kelsey, like, they're still a dominant force to have to be reckoned with.
Mm.
I
But
mean,
like you said, I mean, what do you do as a defensive coordinator? Like, I mean, you can't sit in you can't sit in the zone. You can't sit in man. They're gonna torch you. You
I
gotta
mean,
have hats in the box. I mean,
but you put hats in the box, and now you're exposed on the edges because they got
facts.
one dude that'll go truck any friggin' Mike linebacker that comes at him. I mean, people underestimate how physical AJ Brown is.
Yeah.
Like when he gets after it, I don't know what it is about them Ole Miss receivers. but like they built a little different than than some of
They
them other
they
cats.
bred a little different down there in Mississippi, man. That's it.
Oh man, but yeah. So Saquon Barkley, he signed a 3-year, $37.75 million contract, but that was not the highest paid running back contract yet. So far, the Packers signing Josh Jacobs for a 4-year, $48 million. Now it's less per year, but it's still a $50 million contract. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't see running backs getting paid like that. And I kind of want to hit on it real quick because you brought it up when you first started talking, about how the respect for the running back game's coming in. While we're seeing that hit in free agency, we're seeing an opposite effect in the draft. I mean, when you think about it, yeah, there's a running back taken out of the first round last year. But after that, you got Saquon, you go back to Reggie Bush. I mean, you can go back to um,
I think it was 2 first rounds. It was the
I gotta look that up. So, but
the
it's
Lions took one. That's why it made me think.
did they take one in the first round too?
Yeah,
Um, but you're
You talking
seeing
about
like all these receivers, like quarterbacks are quarterbacks, offensive linemen are offensive linemen, defensive players. But when you're talking like skill offensive players, you're talking running back, tight ends, receivers. Like you got to put those all in the category of those are guys that get you first down and get you touchdowns, right? So you got to pick and choose those kind of as you go. But you see 4, 5 times as many receivers going. You think that's just because there's more receivers on the field, or do you think people can get away with being an average backfield and just rotating guys out versus having one workhorse that they put everything into?
I think what I think people are doing is that like what you said first, like I think people will want to have like a multiple guys in the backfield because they feel like they might can hold on to them a little bit longer. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's kind of like I hate saying this, but it's kind of like, hey, I'm just going at the end of your contract, I'm just gonna shove some money in your face and tell you to shut up. You know what I mean? Because you were never the guy. You never was the guy. You was always running back by committee. So you don't have nothing to say at the end of your contract. But then you get guys like Josh Jacobs, guys like Saquon, guys like Derrick Henry that come out and you can't tell them to shut up and throw the money in their mouth. You can't tell them that.
Oh
So
yeah.
now, what do you do? And I mean, I just don't know. I feel like when you go back to with the receivers too, I feel like some people just might think that the receiver might reflect more to the game right now because there is more guys on the field. You know what I mean? Like to your point, there's more guys on the roster that's going to be at the receiver position. But uh, something I'm finna go left field right now, but something that I was literally talking about with one of the coaches on our staff yesterday, because they changed the rule with the kickoff
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
with all that, and I said I think that's more of a running back's forte at that
Having all
returner
that
position,
space, all those holes, like
all that space, all those holes, and it's literally not like oh I gotta hit it right now with speed. It's like man, you gotta read this out and find a hole and hit it right
mm-hmm.
now and be able to run through somebody's arm tackle, run off parts of somebody's body, and be able to accelerate through that. But like a receiver is not going to have that same, what I mean, willingness to go up in there. He's going to be dancing, stopping his feet and all of that.
He
Nah,
ain't
running
used to the
back.
traffic. He's running through traffic, but he ain't getting just blindsided, right? And they've
Mhm.
put so many rules out there where if they see anybody that's about to tackle him, whether it's behind him or in front of him, they're usually 1-on-1, occasionally 2-on-1. But man, that running back's different. Like that's one dude running into a box with 14 dudes just smashing each other like face to face with everything they got. Like you got to be different to go run the inside zone in the ACC. Like there ain't no different. Like like you got
Yeah,
to
for
be different.
sure.
You got to have a
For sure.
I mean, straight up, you got to have a different mindset to be able to go like smash your body into friggin' 1,200 pounds of meat to go try to
Over and
fight your
over
nuts
and
off for
over
3 yards,
You know,
and then get up and do it again.
it's even worse was like, especially for those bigger backs like Derrick Henry, there's no more hip drop tackles too anymore since they banned that. So you're gonna have to you can't bring him down like the normal way a lot of players can, especially the smaller guys.
100%. Like,
Yeah.
how do you tackle Derrick Henry other than like just chloroform? I mean, like,
You better go for his ankles, man. I don't know what to tell you.
oh man,
Mhm.
A lot of
so,
weight, a lot of body coming at you with a 4.5 speed.
no,
Like it's
absolutely. Matt and I are Panther fans. Been watching them since they were created, and their two best seasons that they had. And when they went to the Super Bowl in 03 and they went to the Super Bowl in 15, both times they had two dudes back there that were difference makers at running back. In 2003, they had Stephen Davis, who was just an absolute load. And then they had Deshaun Foster, who just got announced as the head coach of UCLA last month. I mean, that's awesome. Glad to see that.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he's like 35 too. I mean, young guy. But awesome for him. But anyway, so he was the backup on that team. I guess he's actually in his 40s now. But he was the backup on that team behind Stephen Davis, and those two just pounding. And then you had, Deshaun Foster. You had him on the outside. You had Stephen Davis running down middle. Then you look at the Panthers 2015. Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams, both first-round draft picks, there in your backfield. And Jonathan Stewart was known as Thunder, but he also had some lightning. Like, there ain't no doubt about it.
Yeah,
That dude could
sure.
scoot. And
I mean,
so,
you also can't ignore Cam Newton on that one too.
yeah, and they had Cam Newton in the background. I mean, so that's they had Steve Smith out there, and no, they didn't have. No, he had already left by then. They didn't have, but they did in 2003. But anyway, the two, like, I see those seasons as they had two running backs that they just constantly just peppered in back and forth, and I definitely, especially if you got two good ones.
If
back
you got
there.
two good ones that can complement off of each other, that's, to me as a running back coach, that's your perfect room. You know what I mean? Like, you definitely want to have about 4 or 5 deep. You know how the running back room can get. But man, if you got your first 2 to 3 guys that are just feeding off of each other and they're just playing, you know what I mean? And then you got a little bit, they all bring something different to the table, but they all have that same mindset. And you got something special in your room for sure.
100%. Especially when they understand. I think there's two different kind of mindsets behind it, right? One of them is there's a clear defined dude. Like, this is the guy. He's going to get 75% of the carries. Those other 25% carries are split up between you two other guys, right? And whoever's hot is going to get the majority of that last 25% right there, right?
For sure.
But when you've got three dudes that are all like ball players, you may not have one that's just elite, but you got three really good ones. And you're like, yo, we riding whoever's hot. Those dudes want the ball. I mean, I know how your running backs are. Like, give me the damn ball. I don't care if it's 3rd and 22. I want the ball.
I'll go score right now. Right.
And so if you get a room like that where you've got three dudes that are fighting for that possession because they know, hey, if I can get going, I get us a first down, I'm staying in the game, I'm getting the ball. And I think that creates a competitive atmosphere that is unmatched.
Well, we saw that in Houston this year. Houston was having like running backs left and right had to step in because of injuries.
100%.
And it was like every single running back that stepped in. I mean, they weren't top 10, but they were still producing. And that's why I'm excited. Going back more to the running backs that we were excited with, I'm excited about Derrick Henry and Barkley, but I'm very excited about Joe Mix because I think a lot of people forgot about him in Cincinnati because of Joe Burrow in a throwing game, and I think I'm expecting a big year for Joe Mix because they're gonna lean on him more than he was leaned on in Cincinnati. So, and with C.J. Stroud and some of the other weapons they were able to pick up, I think that's gonna be an exciting pick that people are not really talking about.
No, 100%. I can definitely agree with that.
Yeah,
man.
Sure.
How about the Texans this year with like taking a bunch of young dudes? I mean, that's a young football team right there, and they came together and were like, "Yo, we gonna ball out together." They had injuries left and right. Next dude stepped up. He fought like it was his job and just kept going from there. I mean, that was a fun football team to watch this year. Just a bunch of young dudes just going out there and balling out with every chance they had.
But yeah, that's what
They
you want.
go. I think the best part was the topping, taking the Browns out, who you gave away your quarterback. So I think that was the topping of it.
No, 100%. So, we've talked about Josh Jacobs, talked about Derrick Henry. Tony Pollard going to go replace Derrick Henry with the Titans. I'll say this. He's one of those guys that is just a solid player.
Yeah.
But
100%.
You lost Derrick Henry. I don't care if that dude's 50 years old. That's like, I'll take Bo Jackson at 60 over half these cats at 20. You know, like,
Like just like Derrick Henry just different in life. If they think that Tony Pollard finna come in there and give them the same production that Derrick Henry gave them, I don't know what to tell them. They're gonna be sorely mistaken. Texans fan, not Titans fans, gonna be disappointed this year.
100%. You know, and then man, going to the Bears signing DeAndre Swift, like they went out and they got them some receivers and a top tier running back, and they're doing all this for a rookie quarterback. That so I'm not solely bought in on, right? Like,
Oh, you not bought in on Caleb Williams?
nah, man, I'm a Jaden Daniels guy.
Oh, he's tough too. He's tough, but
Like,
Caleb
he's
Williams do stuff that you can't teach. You can't coach. It's
here's the
like
thing. We talked about it on our last episode last week, where I think Caleb Williams has all of the tools and all of the ability to be the top best quarterback in the country. And he showed that in his Heisman Trophy run.
Mhm.
Man, I didn't see that same competitive spirit and fight out of him last year. And that's like, I don't know, that's a major turnoff for me. Like, you can have all the ability in the world, but like, man, I kept seeing him just shut it down, like on the sideline, just shutting it down. Like, you're talking a touchdown down, and he's over there just pouting in the corner, or not. I don't know. Like, that's your leader of the team, man. Like, people feed off his energy, and like Jaden Daniels, I don't know. He fired me up watching him play the game. Like, he looked like he was just having fun and fired up, and everybody around him sparked off of that. Caleb Williams, man, he looked like he was going to work and trying not to do too much and not get hurt.
Yeah, it felt like as
And
after their national championship chances were over, he just coasted.
Oh, for sure. He definitely.
So
I can attest to that. He definitely 1000% did that.
and
Like,
and I can get it, and I can understand it to an extent, but like, I don't know, man. I'm too damn competitive just to kind of be like, man, I'm just chilling. And I know you got to protect yourself and do everything you can to try to like make sure you get paid. I mean, granted, he's already getting paid, um, but
yeah,
to make sure you're setting yourself up for something bigger. Like, I get it, but I don't know. I still, it's hard. It's hard for me to see that and just be like, that's the guy that I'm gonna go to battle with, and I'm gonna walk into this locker room and tell every single one of those guys, this is our leader that took the second half of his season off.
yeah. Man, I can see that for sure. But like with him being the top quarterback since last year, is it just not that scope was just on him a lot harder than a lot of those other guys? You know
It
what I mean?
definitely could have been 100%. Um, I also am a big fan of giving young guys competition and time to develop, opposed to bringing them in with the light shining bright on them. You're the guy. Like, I would have loved to see him bring Caleb Williams in, kept Justin Fields, and say, let's see what happens. And because they traded him for a 6th-round pick, you could do that next year for the same result. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Like when I saw that, I was like, bro, y'all. When did they draft him in the first round? Right?
yeah,
first pick overall.
Yeah, like
Or no,
bro.
was it?
he was the third quarterback out of that pick.
Okay, yeah.
I
But
was
still, like,
Third or fourth. He
yeah,
failed.
yeah. But he was like the third. I mean, he was the
It was
first
the
round draft.
fourth. It was Trevor, Zach, Lance, then Justin.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, that was what, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know. I think, especially after seeing what Caleb Williams did with this year compared to what he did last year, even if you're still a firm believer he's the guy, I want to light a fire up under his ass more so than just like welcome to the NFL. Like, I want you to
Yeah.
go win a job. I don't, and that also goes to like my mindset. We bring in somebody new into the room. I don't care. I mean, for example, right? If you get a transfer running back, right, and he's
For sure.
from friggin' Alabama, right, running back powerhouse Central. Okay,
Mhm.
is he walking in there? You're telling all of the other 4, 5, 6 guys in that room that he's the guy, or he's got to work his way up like everybody else, and you expect it to be soon, but you
Yeah.
don't walk in day one saying like, "Hey, this is our dude." He hasn't done anything.
Yeah, you kill the integrity of your room when you do that. Like, no, them guys ain't gonna listen to you no more. They not gonna want to be bought in no more. Cause it's just like, coach, I've been here all the time. You brought bro off the street and he's starting now. Like,
100%, and you get that, and that's why they get rid of Justin Fields with the Bears.
mhm.
Because Justin Fields is the guy. And so you bring in somebody else and you're like, yo, you're now the backup. Like, no, he's got to earn it. And I think that's how you get better. You build up, you give him some intangible toughness and about him in the NFL. Like, that allows him to transition. If he's not ready game one, because that's the thing. The NFL season's so long. Like, these guys can take 4 or 5 games and still end up coming in as the starter and have a tremendous rookie season. You know.
I have a feeling they got rid of them because not for the competition. I think they had people like DJ Moore who was tweeting out when they made the trade for Keenan Allen, and they were like, "Hey, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, now with Justin Fields." Like some of the locker guys, veterans wanted Justin Field, like them not to get Caleb Williams and stuff like that. And then if you bring Caleb Williams, now you have a split roster. And they always say that the players will know who the better quarterback is, and if there's competition like that, maybe for a young Caleb Williams coming in who you're expecting to be the franchise player, now you're putting doubt in his head if he doesn't have the mental capacity to really fight through that. Because you know how it is, the more players that are coming out, a lot of people think they have a weaker mental than what it used to be, where they're not given the keys. They kind of just mope and pout the same way that was it Pickett did in Pittsburgh when they brought Russell Wilson over. So
That's for sure. But I really would have loved to see the competition between them boys. You know what I mean? I think it would have made Justin Fields better, and I
100%.
think it would have made Caleb Williams grow up. So
Honestly, because I feel
like,
like at the end of the day, I think Justin Fields got the better end of the deal because
yeah,
the Bears may have loaded up with superstars all around them, but they did not touch that offensive line, and that was the problem. Right? Justin Fields
mhm,
got sacked 15 times in the last 5 games of the year. Like, that's unacceptable. Like,
yeah,
I don't care who you have out there, receiver. I mean, you could have freaking Jerry Rice and Tim Brown out there. You're not getting the ball off. Like,
yeah.
and so it's kind of, so they didn't touch that. But now you get Justin Fields, who is already a hell of a player. He's had 3 offense coordinators in 3 years. He
Mhm.
had one of the worst offensive lines in the league. They had no running game. He had one wide receiver he could throw it to. Like, you had a guy that with no help that was out there making magic happen with what he had. And now you send him to the Steelers that are a little bit more put together. They got to figure it out at wide receiver, but they seem to always draft really well. So not too worried about that when it comes to receiver. But they've got a solid offensive line. And now you get a Super Bowl winning quarterback who's at the tail end of his career out there. So even if you have to take a year to be the backup, you're learning from one of the best active quarterbacks in the league, regardless of what he's performing now, regardless of what he does on the field. Like, he's already done what he needs to do to be considered one of the best active quarterbacks. He's got a lot of knowledge in there. So you get to sit and learn and not have the pressure of being
Carrying the franchise.
100%. Like, even Patrick Mahomes, like, he's the greatest example I think that we have right now, didn't start a single game his rookie year. He played one game like in week 2 where he came in at the end of a blowout, and then he played the majority of week 15 after their season was like already, or week 16, after their season was already secured, and we're heading to the playoffs with Alex Smith. Like, he
don't
had a,
forget about Lamar too.
you
Lamar
had
sat out
Lamar. He had a
the
chance to be able to
majority of
sit.
season too.
Yeah, I mean, you look at these guys that just had
Uh,
somebody to compete with, somebody to learn from. You look at Tom Brady, yeah, like he had Drew Bledsoe, you know. So I think there's even Steve Young had Joe Montana. You know,
yeah.
Aaron Rodgers had Brett Favre. I mean, just like I think there's
Examples
something to
all
be
over the
said.
place.
What's that?
I just say it's examples all over the place in the league from, all the great quarterbacks that's kind of getting washed out of this generation right now. You know what I mean?
I think
And
the biggest argument is like you hear about that, and I've been hearing a lot this week about people. I don't know if you heard about RG3 comments this week of saying if I'm a Bears fan, or if I'm not a Bears fan, if I'm Caleb Williams, I do not want to get drafted by Chicago because Chicago has done quarterbacks in the past, the last 2, 3 quarterbacks wrong. And the biggest thing what they're talking about is, like Brian said, you don't have that veteran to help them and stuff like that. Maybe give them cushion to throw them in a fire. And you have a coach who is on his last year contract that they haven't extended. And so there's no promise that he'll be back, even if they struggle this year. And the whole thing was why was saying that is like this might be the same setup as it was last 2 years where they drafted a quarterback like Justin, the coach gets fired the next year. They bring a new head coach, and it's like the same scenario might set up again because you brought all this talent and you're expected to make at least the playoffs. And if they don't, then you're going to have another quarterback, have a new OC and a new head coach, and that's just, especially being young coming in the league, that's hard. That's a hard adjustment.
It's a bad cycle they need to get out of. You know,
Like,
I mean, who the last quarterback? I mean, the last like what franchise quarterback or vet quarterback they had was who? Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and I mean, and people hated him in Chicago. I mean, it's
yeah.
Matt, keep a tally on this, right? I found this stat. All right, and so we're gonna have to determine if these guys are a bust or franchise worthy. Now, so what I did is I've pulled up. I have the last 15 years of it, but we're only gonna look at the last 10 years of first round quarterbacks taken. Okay, I've got a list of every first round quarterback that was taken. Now, I'm going to tell you, I want to see what you guys think. We're going to call them, if they're in the first round, let's clarify first. If they're a first round draft pick, they're your franchise quarterback, right? You don't take a quarterback in the first round unless they're your guy. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to measure this off of franchise quarterback, either for them or for another team. We'll give it like if they got traded early in their career. Like Brett Favre was drafted to be a franchise quarterback with the Falcons, but then got traded to the Packers and then became a franchise quarterback for them, right? So, and I'll let you know, they got a hit or miss stat on here too. So in 2014, 3 quarterbacks taken out of the first round. Jake Bortles. I think that's a bust, right?
Bust.
So Matt, keep track of the bust and the hits. Johnny Manziel, got to be a bust.
Bust.
Teddy Bridgewater had a good career, not a franchise quarterback. I think it's a bust.
Yeah.
All right.
Who's the last one?
Teddy Bridgewater. Yeah, and you don't need to keep track of who gets the bust and who doesn't. You can just keep track of the numbers. Jameis Winston.
Bust.
Marcus Mariota. Bust.
Technically.
Paddocks Lynch. Bust. Carson Wentz.
Talking about Paxton Lynch from Latte. Was it Latte?
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's the biggest bust. He's like, I thought he was gonna be so. Man, I thought he was gonna be at least decent.
Oh man, Carson Wentz.
I feel like he's like not a bust, but he's also not.
Matt, just put him in his own category, right? Carson Wentz gets his own.
He's a bust.
He's a bust.
You think so?
To be the guy to take take boys to the promised land. And
if he didn't lose, here's the thing that I think that got him is that he was taking them to the Super Bowl. He gets hurt. Nick Foles obviously goes on to win that. I think the problem that happened is after that happened, a lot of people were pro Nick Foles and not a lot of and maybe like it split the locker room in some kind of way where you had 2 people fighting for 2 different quarterbacks. Yeah. And then like he just never had a chance to rebound from it. So it's kind of a messy situation. It's kind of like Drew Bledsoe, right? Like Drew Bledsoe was on track to be a Hall of Fame quarterback and then got hurt, and you had the locker room kind of going back and forth, and they're like, well, we're just going to take this guy. And Drew Bledsoe never was the same again. Yeah.
I think the pressure got to him too because he was a lot of people thought he was going to win MVP because he was putting up MVP stats until he got hurt. Oh, yeah. So it was like
maybe different category.
Yeah, put him in a different category. We won't count him because he's kind of Jared Goff. I think we can say he's at least a franchise quarterback. I don't know if he's like.
I think he's.
I don't think he's a number 1 overall pick. I think that part was a bust, but he's still a franchise quarterback. I think he falls into the category.
I think so too, especially since his days in the Lions. I think he's shown that he's not like the Patrick Mahomes, but I think he's.
All right. So then 2017, 3 quarterbacks taken. Number 12 was Patrick Mahomes. I think that's a home run.
Yeah.
I mean that's 100%. Deshaun Watson, he kind of falls into that mix too. Like,
man, he's a franchise quarterback. I'm sorry.
I'm with you, right? I think talent wise he is, but What if they go get another quarterback because of the success they just had? But I'm with you. We'll put him as a hit because Mitchell Trubisky is definitely a miss.
Yeah, 1000%.
All right, got a lot of quarterbacks here in 2018. Lamar Jackson, that's got to be a hit.
Yeah.
Josh Rosen, bust. Josh Allen, got to be a hit. Sam Darnold's got to be a bust. Baker Mayfield,
I would say other.
you'll put in the Jameis Winston category. He's not a hit.
He's not a bust, but he's not a hit. I feel like he could be another one in the with Carson.
Nah, he's not with Carson Wentz, I don't think.
That's a different
You don't think
category.
so?
He's like in his own separate category. I don't know, but here's the thing: he is a franchise quarterback, right? He was the franchise quarterback for the Browns. Even when he got traded to the Panthers, he was supposed to be the guy. And then now he's with the Bucks. Like, he's doing something. I think we can give him, once again, he's not a number one overall player like he was drafted, but he's a franchise quarterback. I think he falls within the stat line.
For sure.
2019, Dwayne Haskins, bust. Daniel Jones, I don't know. Is it too early to call him a franchise quarterback? I mean, he seems kind of like I think he's a bust.
I think a bust. Yeah.
Kyler Murray, Kyler Murray's kind of underperformed. He's had moments, but
he's been hurt. When he's been not hurt, he's been
Kyler
shown.
Murray.
What's that?
He's a dog. Kyler Murray is a dog.
I think a hit. So,
all right, we can hit that. I think the next one, as of right now, I think they're all hits. All four quarterbacks I've taken in the first round: Jordan Love, Justin Herbert, Tua, and Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
I think as of right now, they're all hits. Like, none of them have done anything to...
I think Jordan Love is on the only one that you might move, but at the moment from what he showed...
But he came in his first year. They're not looking to make a change. Like, as of right now, it's his franchise. He hasn't lost it yet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this next one, a little different story. Mac Jones, bust. You can't really say Justin Fields is a franchise quarterback right now. I think he was on track to be.
I think on right now, you'd have to put him up bust.
Yep. Trey Lance, bust.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson, bust. Trevor Lawrence is technically still a franchise quarterback, even though he isn't what everybody thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
The year after that is Kenny Pickett, bust.
Bust.
All right, so that's everybody. Matt, count it up. Where are we at? Like, quarterbacks drafted in the last 10 years. Where are we at, bust versus
So we got 16 busts. We got one Carson Wentz. And we got 12 hits.
So you're talking 12 hits on 16 misses, and out of those 12 hits, 4 of them were like, we can't say no.
Yeah, and even break it down more, out of those draft years, only 2 draft years were like really good hits. Everything else, you had multiple busts quarterbacks if there was multiple picks. So,
that's
pretty
tough.
solid list right there.
What was it? What's the draft from Patrick? Was that no Lamar and was that 18 or 17?
It was.
I think it was 18.
With Lamar was 18.
Yeah.
You had Baker Mayfield, Sam
you,
Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, and Lamar Jackson. So you had 3 out of 5 roughly.
You take 18 and 20 away, those draft picks, the numbers of hits would go down dramatically, I think, if you take those draft years out of the picture.
100%. But see, and I was looking even before that, and we don't need to go through it all. But I was looking before that. It was E.J. Manuel, Andrew Luck, RG3, Ryan Tannehill, Brandon Whedon, Cam Newton, Jake Locker, Blake Gabbert, Christian Ponder, Sam Bradford, Tim Tebow, Matthew Stafford, Mark Sanchez, Josh Freeman. Like,
I probably could say like 4 of them.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so is that just the odds aren't in your favor of being the guy if you're drafted in the first round, like people would think. Like, I'd be curious and to do the same thing with other positions and to see, like, there's not many D linemen you take in the first round that don't turn out to be dudes.
No,
that is very true.
Like, I wonder just what other positions kind of play with that. It'd be interesting to see.
Well, they said the. Oh,
Go ahead,
you go first.
I'm about to say, I think probably the closest thing to that to quarterback position that we could probably make like an actual like numbers thing with is probably receiver. You know what I mean? Just off
Mhm.
all the receivers that's been taken in the first round, and then just not a similar position, but I guess
Yeah.
similar glamour. I guess you might want to say.
You at
Like I
least
mean,
have a lot of stats with all the receivers getting taken in the first round. I'd be like curious for something like OL too, right? Like how many misses do people have on OL in the first round?
That's what I was about to say.
that's
Offensive lineman has the highest hit out of all the positions.
I don't know about that because like
It's been shown statistically. That's why. It's not
is it?
like I'm this. Yeah, I'm
I was
saying it
gonna
because
say like
I've
I don't think
heard
I've
it
ever seen a D
statistically.
lineman. I gotta go back and look. I want to see every D lineman drafted in the first round. Show me one like miss on that because like usually it's just something different about those dudes. But no, I'm with you. I think offensive lineman like that's another one that's gonna be a really high percentage of hits. You know, but I don't want to. We could talk about this all day for sure. I do have a little trivia question for you guys. I know trivia questions are Matt's spotlight there, but I had found this the other day and I thought it was interesting. All right, so let's go back to running backs. We're talking about most total earnings by a running back throughout their entire career. Right? Which running backs made the most money in their whole career? I'm going to give you the top 5 from 2021. Right here, just so you have a general idea. Adrian Peterson, number 1, at 103 million. Second place was 69 million, to give you an idea. Edgerrin James was 2, Frank Gore 3, Reggie Bush 4, and LaShawn McCoy as number 5. Right? But if we just look, what's that?
you're doing just for 2021.
Yep. So that was in 2021. Now today, as it sits, right, out of those top 5, Adrian Peterson is the only one still on the top 5 list. Who are the other 4 quarter or running backs to surpass everyone else? Nobody's caught AP yet.
This is for all time. You're saying, right?
All-time money earned, right?
Just in the NFL.
Just in the NFL.
Okay.
So there's 4 guys that are now in the top 5 that replaced the previous 4 guys in just the last couple years.
Christian. I feel like Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey is the number
He's the
2
highest
all-time
paid right
earner.
now.
Yep. So to give you an idea, Adrian Peterson made 103 in his career in 15 seasons. Christian McCaffrey has made almost 90 million in 9 seasons. All right. So there's one. You got 3 more.
Barkley keeps on bugging me because he just signed a big deal.
That big deal pushed him into number
It did.
5.
Okay.
Number 5. So he is now made a total of $73 million, just shy of Derrick Henry, who is right below him at number 6. And they knocked out Edgerrin James, who was the number 2 guy before. So there's actually 5 guys that have pushed into that other spot. So 2 other running backs.
Wait, so who are the 3 now?
You got Christian McCaffrey. You got AP as 1. Christian McCaffrey as 2. Saquon
okay.
at 5, and then I just threw Derrick Henry in at 6 for fun. So you still
So
got
we got
3 and 4.
Yeah, I was about to say I said Derrick Henry, but I thought he would have cracked it by now.
Well, he only signed a 2-year, $14 million deal with the Ravens. I mean, that's only $7 a year.
For sure.
I have another name, but I'll let Tyler throw one out.
I'm trying to. I can't think of nobody right now. My first, like I don't know why Le'Veon Bell keep jumping in my head, but he's not close to that. I know.
Yeah, I'll tell you this one. One of them is with the same team that drafted him. Still, just signed another extension.
With the same team that drafted him.
Come on, he moneybags, dude.
Oh, is it Alvin Kamara? No,
Kamara.
Kamara.
He's number 3 all time.
That's
almost
my favorite running back, man.
So I didn't know
almost
I didn't
80
know he
million.
re-signed again.
Oh yeah, almost 80 million in 9 years.
My favorite running back and my favorite team.
I keep on thinking like Zeke.
Zeke Elliott is
was
number
it
4.
because he signed that big deal?
He had that big deal in there. Oh yeah. But to give you an idea, like just the change in money running backs are making, Emmitt Smith's number 11 on this list. Marshawn Lynch is number 13. Like, I mean, absolutely crazy. Like you can get this thing is goes way down there. I'll give you a random one here, right? Here's a name that Tyler, I bet you early young Tyler Bell running back days, Sean Alexander.
Oh wow, that go back to NFL Street days. He was on NFL Street when I was a little jit, you know.
Right. Man, he's number 45 in there. But cool deal. As running backs getting paid, man, it's a good thing to see. They are workhorses and a workload. Definitely need to make their money. But I want to talk to the running back that we got here. All right. Um, man, tell us a little bit about your childhood, how you got into playing ball, and then kind of the recruiting process, like how you ended up at Wake Forest.
Okay. I mean, just a little bit about how I grew up. I mean, I grew up in Mobile. I mean, I always tell people, man, it's the city of murder and Mardi Gras. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know that Mardi Gras started in Mobile. So I
Oh,
was
really?
like, yeah, started in
Man,
Mobile.
Matt
Did
just
not
got
start
back
in
from
New
New
Orleans.
Orleans. He was.
I did. I
It
was
did
just
not
there this
start in
past
New
weekend.
Orleans. It did not start in New Orleans. Look it up. You know what I mean? You can Google it. But yeah, I mean that I grew up there. I started playing ball when I was 3, man. Really, like I really shouldn't have probably been playing at 3, but my birthday a little bit late. Uh my mom and them said I had way too much energy. You feel me? I was living with my mama and my grandma. At the time it was just us 3, but like yeah, man, just growing up in the household with them. I mean, I just got a lot of support from them, well, really from my grandma as far as me playing sports in general, and my some of my other family. But my mom, if you believe it or not, she really did not like buy into football until I was probably 11th grade. Being straight up
Oh,
with you,
wow.
maybe a senior. You
Didn't see it
know,
happening.
like she saw it happening, but she didn't. She's a teacher. She's been a teacher my whole life. My mama, she's been teaching for. I'm 27. She's been teaching for 27 years. Like, and so she was all about the academics, like how you gonna pay for school, blah blah. I'm like, Mom, I got my first offer when I was in 9th grade. Like Southern Miss, I was like, Mom, I promise you, my school's gonna get paid for going to school. Like, they just want to talk to you. Well, I don't want to talk to those people. I'm like, Mom, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I had to deal with, kind of recruiting. Like just just that. But I'm going way ahead. But like I said, I started playing when I was 3. You know what I mean? I played for Matry Ravens. That's my park ball team. It's a lot of talent that was on that team. Guys that went D1 in the league. You know what I mean? Just a lot of guys. But we had a really good team. We won a lot of championships. But I stopped kind of playing with them when I was about 12. Kind of started transitioning over to school ball.
Let me ask you real
Uh,
quick. I know you were a running back and linebacker in high school. Have you always been just running back linebacker, or did they have you back there at safety at one point?
So yeah, so my first in high school, my first position I started was outside linebacker. My head, like my 9th grade year, I was on varsity. Uh, Started at outside linebacker. My high school head coach did not like playing freshmen or starting freshmen, especially at running back. You know what I mean? And I went into like the second game. We was playing a rock. No, it was the second game. He finally put me in at running back, and I rushed for like 170. You know what I mean? And he was just like,
You
or
said,
my
"Take
running
me." Yep.
back coach was just like, okay, he has to be right here. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So I mean, my first position, like I said, was outside linebacker, and that's really the only year that I played linebacker. You
Okay.
know what I mean? Other years, I was every other year I played safety if I was going in on defense. You know, and I might play like that nickel type spur, depending on what we was in. But most of the time I was at safety. You know, but that was definitely they would put me and my quarterback. My quarterback went to Miami, Malik Rozier, so they put both of us at safety, lock it down a little bit. And I, mean, I got beat a couple times. You know, I ain't no safety. I ain't no safety, but yeah, it was definitely fun being over there on that side of the ball.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so you get into high school, man. Get your shot as a freshman, and then what? Take the job and never look back.
Yeah, I just never really looked back. You know what I mean? I was a 3-sport athlete, so the biggest thing I had to worry about really was my weight. You know what I'm saying? Kind of keeping my weight up at running back. Like I was going on visits at like 185. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm losing 15, 20 pounds during basketball and track season.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and school was like, man, we thought you were 200 pounds. I'm like, I am 200 pounds. It's basketball season. You know what I mean? Trying to explain that back in 2013.
Oh,
You know what I'm
100%. Yeah, that's a
saying?
conversation you have all the time, especially like because I was recruiting D linemen. D linemen are naturally like a lot of them are wrestlers, right? Because it just kind of
Yeah.
fits the breed.
Mhm.
And you show up and they're like, "Hey, I'm 215 right now because I'm trying to wrestle in the 215 weight class. And we're like, dude, I thought you were 230. Yeah, bet
Yeah.
I am. Like, yeah, being a wrestler myself, I completely get it, but it's hard for those that don't understand, especially other people that didn't play multiple sports. Like, man,
And I feel like that helps me in my recruiting process and just with my profession, just because like I understand that. You know what I mean? Like if I'm recruiting a guy right now that's 175 and he's running track and he's playing basketball, I'm like, okay, he's probably really 190. You know what I mean? He might be really 185, not 190, but 185 or
100%.
190 almost. But like I, I I'm not one of those coaches that's just gonna kick him out the door just because he showed up on campus and he's
Yeah.
175.
Well,
Like, come
especially
on.
because like a lot of these cats, man, once you get them with like a true meal plan,
They're gonna
it's
go.
over.
Yeah.
They ain't used to just looking at this full friggin' buffet to eat whatever they want. Especially you get up there, Wake Forest, some of them ACC, SEC schools where they got like a real athlete cafeteria over
Mhm.
there. Like you eating good all the time.
All the time, whenever you need to. You know what I mean? And uh, just, but it's all. I mean, the biggest thing is just all about you. A lot of these kids too, when they get to college, they don't want to go take that extra work. But I mean, that's where I kind of take that challenge as a coach. Like, man, look, this was what goals you said you wanted to set out and accomplish when you got here. You just sitting in your room and sleeping all day is not helping that goal at any point. You know what I mean? You got to have that
100%.
nutrition. You got to have that. Put that stuff back in your body. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yep.
But yeah, I kind of just but with my high school career, yeah, I got my first offer my ninth grade year from Southern Miss. I mean I was just back and forth with them really until the end, you know what I mean, until the end. And I kind of picked up a lot of offers in between. I probably had about 15 D1 offers, maybe 16. Mostly Power Five, Group of Five. I didn't even like before I even really was coaching at FCS or even coaching D2 or even being down there at NGU. Like I didn't even know about D2 ball. You know what I mean? I didn't know about FCS ball. Like I had no idea. And
Hmm.
like
No,
I'll be explaining that to what'd you say?
I was gonna say, I was interested in, you said for all these offers, were they all for running backs, or was there a couple of these schools, maybe linebackers, or were they talking to you, hey, we want you to play running
So
back and linebacker?
when I mean I played linebacker and safety, I mean I
Uh,
played like in my high school career I might have played 60 snaps.
okay.
Not to mention, Matt, if you watched T-Bell's highlight tape, you would know that they wanted him as a running back.
I didn't play. No, I didn't play. I didn't play safety. I played safety when we needed it. You know what I mean? Not
Gotcha.
necessarily as something that we should always do. And but like me as my older self, older Tyler, like thinking back, like maybe coach, I should have been banging on his door, telling him to let me play defense more to kind of help our team out. You know what I mean? But because we were kind of middle of the pack, really my whole career at Faith. You know?
Oh yeah. Well, let me ask you
Yeah.
this: Did you take all 5 of your official visits?
No, no, I only took two.
You know, took two. Where'd you take them to?
Wake and they still don't know this. This is the first time nobody probably ever heard this, but Southern Miss. I took Wake and Southern Miss.
Southern
But that
Miss.
was,
So those are the only man. So you had it pretty narrowed down then, huh?
yeah, I did. But it was really like just kind of like I said, my mama kind of I hate using this, but she kind of stared me down a little bit with a lot of my recruiting just because like she didn't understand it. You know what I mean? And like I had a cousin that played at Virginia, 4 years before he was a senior when I was a senior in high school. You know what I'm saying? He was a senior at Virginia. So a lot of my recruiting stuff I learned from him, but a lot of stuff I learned kind of after the fact. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No, 100%.
And
Absolutely.
like you trying to tell your mama, like, ma, this is that, and like she's listening to you, but then she's talking to this random man that's calling from Iowa. And you just like, I don't trust him. I don't know him, Tyler. You know what I mean? I'm from Mobile, Alabama. Like nobody, they're not just taking calls from random cities
Mhm.
and listening to somebody saying I'm finna give my son a $500,000 scholarship. No, I don't know about that. You know?
So man, I think it's a crucial thing that it sounds like relationships are what drove you to Southern Miss, like at least like till the very end,
Mm-hmm.
because with all the other offers that you had, Southern Miss wouldn't even be a top 10 for most people. And
Yeah.
so it had to be that relationship that they really put in the time and the work and
Yeah, I love my running backs coach, or the guy that would have been my running backs coach, John Simon was a great dude. Like He was a really good player too. He played running back at La Tech, and he played in the league. I want to say he played for the Titans for a couple years and played with somebody else. Or I get not the Titans, they was the Oilers.
Way back
Throwback.
then.
Well, it might have been the Oilers, but like he was a really good player and like he was just a really good dude, and I just trusted everything he was kind of teaching me and stuff like that. And I really liked Coach Monken. You know what I mean? Just talking with him and being around him and just I just thought they were genuine. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, they was my first really group of five, power five offer. So I was just like, hey man, like y'all believed in me first. Y'all was the guys that offered me at 180. You know what I mean? Not at 205 and not at 215 what I graduated at. You know what I'm saying? Like
That's
Yeah.
y'all really believed in me. And so I even was committed to Southern Miss. I think I probably told you this before, Vos. I was committed to Southern Miss up until maybe October of my senior year. Like during the season, I decommitted, uh, called them, decommitted, and committed to Wake within that same day. But yeah, like I was with them literally up until the end. And that kind of goes back to what you said. Like, I mean, relationships matter. And just as a coach, I learned that just off of my situations, like you saying,
mm,
relationships matter. Just because you're a smaller school, don't just mean that you're not gonna get that guy that maybe should go to Wake Forest or Minnesota, wherever he's about to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, talk to the kid. You know what I mean? Go shoot your shot at the end of the day.
100%. And it
That's
works the other
true.
way too. Like if you're man, if you're an athlete, you go to one of these camps and you ball out, you show out, and you build that relationship with the coach, and the coach is like, "Look, I think that this is the guy that we should bring in. I think this is the guy that can help us because he's built that relationship. There's a trust factor there. There's a belief there. Even if he's not the best talented there, you got a belief that this dude is going to help the team more than the next guy. Like, don't get me wrong, you can't be a scrub and then coming in and taking somebody else's job, but at the same time, if you're in the mix, that relationship can be the thing that sets you apart from getting an offer and being the next guy up to get an offer.
Yeah, for sure,
Oh,
for sure. And I mean, like guys don't understand that though. You know what I mean? You just trying to get kids to understand that is crucial though. You know what I mean?
oh yeah.
But
Man, I
for
want to
sure.
hear about your official visit to Wake Forest. What you
Okay.
can share from it. Yeah.
Let me, man. That was Lord. That was so long. That was it's 2020. That was 9 years ago. G,
Oh yeah, almost a decade.
10 years ago almost. I'm old. I'm old head. I got
So you
gray
did
hair.
you did the 2 nights. I'm guessing went up Friday, stayed
Did it two
Friday
nights.
night, Saturday night, took off Sunday.
Yep, yep. So I mean, it's just like any other official visit. I mean, I can't remember just
Well, you
crazy
saw the North
people.
Greenville visits we did. It ain't just like any other visit.
But yeah, of course. But it's like any other P5
Yeah,
visit, you
them
know
other
what I
them
mean?
other Power Five visits. Yeah.
But the Power Five visits now are crazy. Like we weren't doing what they doing now. You know what I'm saying? Like them boys they going crazy. Like the NILs and just the money that a lot of these schools getting in general, including Wake.
100%.
Like the money that they got after even all of my classes left. Like those kids are getting blessed. You know what I mean?
Well, it's
They're
because you did the grunt work to get them back on the winning track, and then they started winning, and all that money came
Yeah.
in. Like,
I try, man. We try to tell them every time we go back. Like it's a couple of guys that I played with that's kind of working with the staff now, and man, we try to make sure we tell them that, like, look, like, yeah, it was nice when we was here, but it's super nice now. And y'all boys don't just pitch this opportunity away. You know what I mean? Like it's ain't something everybody get. You know, but
100%.
I mean, yeah, I mean, we of course we ate until I couldn't eat no more. You know what I mean? They dressed the hotel room up, and one of my probably my favorite uh thing that I had when I went was that they had like the little collage of like I still got it at home. Like, how they have the collage like of you on like it said like Tyler Bell, like Wake Forest running back of the future, something like that. But it was like a
Oh yeah.
big, it wasn't like a life size one, but it was big. It covered like most of the bed, you know what I'm saying?
Oh wow.
Something that I really probably remember still to this day. And I still got that little collage to this day is at home. It's
Man, I
in my
saw
bed.
the NCAA made it where can't decorate rooms anymore.
You cannot. Yeah, I heard something about. Yeah, it's crazy, but they were also almost about to ban taking pictures too, but they was only gonna ban it for unofficial visits and junior days.
Which is, man, that's tough for if it's only like power or the your D1, that helps the D1 guys out because they're that saves them from having to take a ton of pictures with kids that they honestly just don't want to take pictures with. Half the pictures that are getting taken are just to make sure they're maintaining good relationships with the high school, but you don't want to stand there and take a bunch of pictures with kids that you ain't gonna recruit because you got other things you want. You're trying to coach ball so you can go home to your family at some point in time. You know what I'm saying? But at
Exactly.
D2, you got to shake every hand. You got to take every picture because man, you fighting to get cats on the field sometimes, and some of those walk on, like the difference between a walk on a scholarship guy can be minimal. Um,
Yeah.
and so you gotta, you want everybody to try that jersey on.
You got to treat everybody the same, and I'm thankful for my D2 experiences just because like it kind of taught me as a coach, especially like man, coach everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know who's gonna end up on the field,
Yep.
especially at that level. You never know. It can come down to your fifth string guy, and he's a walk on that you should have been putting time into all year, but now you're down to him.
100%.
Figure it out. You know.
Absolutely. Man, so
So I
that's
was
a
interested. Sorry,
no. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I was just interested in. You said you decommuted commuted to from Southern Mississippi. How would your mom? Because you sound like your mom was kind of a
He was
was it
mad.
she was because Wake's not that close to Alabama compared to Southern.
Southern Miss was legit 45 minutes from my doorstep in Mobile. 45 minutes. I can walk out of my door, get in the car, and I'll be on Southern Miss campus in 45 minutes. So she was pissed about that, but she was really more so pissed because, like I said, she don't understand the process. She don't really know. So she was kind of more so like why would you get them people your word and not go? That's what she was
Oh.
on. Like that was her exact statement. You gave them people your word and you not going no more, that makes you look bad. But see, that's just the old school.
Like
Uh,
I love the mindset. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the mindset. And if it was like, and here's the thing. I think there's also a difference as well because I'm all about honoring your word, honoring your commitment. But if there's a better opportunity, you gotta take the better opportunity, especially when you gotta do what's best for you. Like I don't think anybody's gonna say it. Wake Forest over Southern Miss is a no-brainer. Like
mhm.
you take football out of it. A
School
degree
is
from
life.
Wake Forest
Yeah,
sets you completely different for life than a degree from Southern Miss. Nothing against any Southern Miss alumni out there, but like it's Wake Forest, that's like a degree from Duke.
Mm.
It's different, right? It
and that's
stands
that's,
out.
that's that's
It's even
really
harder
what.
to get in Wake.
Oh yeah, but that's really what drove my mama to really kind of support my decision at the end of the day. One, because I mean, first she gonna support me in any
Yeah.
decision I make, like, but just for her to support me is like when like I said, she's been a teacher for 27 years. When she saw where Wake was ranked in academic standing in the country, and she saw those classrooms, she saw the classroom size was under 25 kids per class. You know what I mean, per teacher,
The
and
fact that your
she
scholarship's covering $75,000 a year in academic money, like
exactly. Like, and the fact that because going into my first year, that's when they started paying the kids like cost of attendance money, like you know what I mean? That was my freshman year, you know. So she said, okay, you finna get a check every month. Like you live in these dorms, like my I shout out Coach Beelan, man. That's probably my favorite coach at Wake, other than my running backs coach, John Hunter. But like he Coach Beelan was really one of the guys that helped me or helped my mama really understand the process. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, this is what's going on, this is what we're doing. This and she trusted him. My grandma really trusted him, you know what I mean? And but I got off on a tangent. I lost what I was talking about.
no, just
Uh
about the different standards that Wake sat on than
oh,
Southern.
yeah, so my mama, she just on the visit, like she saw like she started just talking and comparing like stuff because like I said, I had already been on like because Southern Miss was so close to me, I had been on campus, I don't know how many times. You know what I mean? Probably too many times to say without getting some sanctions. But I was there a lot, you know what I'm saying? So she knew about that campus, she knew about the academics. One of the biggest things they said in recruiting was, hey, you come here, the boy to girl ratio is 7-1, like why is that a recruiting pitch? My mama paid attention to all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, she paid attention to all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? So when
Hey,
she
she trying to make sure nobody getting slick with her baby, like
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Especially because she could drive 45 minutes and be there right now. You know what I mean?
100%.
But like she just started researching Wake and it was like you said, it was a no brainer. She literally did the research. I said, "Ma, I need you to sit down." I literally had a talk with her one night. I was like, "Ma, I need you to just sit down and just do the research. Like I know I'm telling you, you're not really listening to me. You're not listening to the coaches. Like just do your own research and let me know what you think." I was like, just don't even look at the names of the schools. Just do your research on both the schools and figure it out. You know what I mean? And she came back to me like the next day I came home from school and she was just like, I mean, I understand your decision. And then she started seeing everything. And I was just like, yeah, I know, ma. Like, I've been trying to tell you, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not this little kid no more. Like, you could trust me. They not finna jip me out of my money. I don't know. She just thought they was trying to, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just the old school Southern mom, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, man. She's just trying to take care of
Mhm.
you. Ain't no doubt about it.
Simple, simple.
Now, did you start in the spring or did you start over the summer?
I started over summer. I would have loved to go early if I could have, just because I felt like my freshman year I was undersized. You know what I mean? I was between that 205, 210 range the whole year. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
if I feel like I would have came in the spring, I would have gained that extra 5 pounds that I gained after that season, that first season. You know what I mean? That I
True,
probably need to be at 215, 220. You know,
man.
but
Well, and on top of that, Matt, I'm gonna give you a stat that you probably don't know, but when Tyler was a freshman at Wake Forest, he led the team in rushing. It's the first time that a freshman led the team in rushing in 44 years.
That's a lot of years,
yeah,
a lot of seasons. Yeah.
it's crazy. When I found it out, I was kind of blowing myself, you know what I mean? But definitely thankful for that little honor, you know what I'm
No,
saying?
100%, man. That so how'd that season come to be? Like, how'd you get the job? What ended up happening with that? Did you come in just beat it out in fall camp, or was it a slow grind that
It was a slow grind, but I would say, camp is what, 4 weeks, you
yeah?
know what I'm saying? I want to say it was a slow grind, but a slow grind and camp,
Man,
it
every
could be,
day is slow. Like,
you know what I mean? It's a week go by and my freshman year we were still doing 2 days. So
100%. Man, after
it's
2 weeks, you feel like you already had three birthdays. I mean,
know what I mean? Like the first week done and we did 10 practices. So I'm like, I mean, it don't feel like you done really went nowhere, but you really think about it, I done went through 10 practices already. Like I have been doing a lot. But like my freshman year, I started off like first practice, I was the fifth string running back. You know what I mean? Like I tell my guys all the time, I tell guys all the time, like I worked my way up. Like I didn't come in as the second string guy or the first string guy, and they just say, yeah, we're giving it to you. I didn't come in the spring and earned it in the spring, you know what I'm saying?
mm,
Uh like I came in with a guy who won Mr. North Carolina and a guy who won Mr. South Carolina. You know what I mean? Like
true.
that nobody expected me to go and go up there and go play over both of them, let alone the two guys that was there already. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But yeah, it was definitely kind of just like a man. I saw I was on the fifth string and I was just like, man, I called one of my boys that night and I was like, man, they playing with me. You know what I mean? But that's the little kid, you know what I'm saying? That's the little kid. It's like, man, but when you really think about it in hindsight, yeah, I would put the Mr. South Carolina and Mr. North Carolina in front of the guy from Alabama that, you know what I mean? Like in the two starter. I would do the same thing as a coach, you know what I mean? And let them earn it.
Hey man, half the time, if you believe in his dog mentality, I'm gonna put him at the bottom anyway, just so I can see that extra little beast come out. Like piss him off a little bit more, see what happens.
And like I feel like like the first couple of days when you're not in pads, I mean, you get into a practice as a player, you just like, man, I ain't did this in high school one time. You know what I'm saying? We playing this basically full contact football, and we have nothing on. You know what I'm saying? And once you get past that, like I was just like, man, they trying me. I'm finna go crazy. You know what I mean? I'm finna come out here and just be a dog every single day. You know what I mean? Like you talking about getting into it with older guys, you know what I mean? Just having an edge every single day. And I feel like that's something that helped me really get to the top as fast as I did. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I feel like if I didn't have that dog, you know what I mean? If I wasn't raised like a dog in my city, like I feel like I would have never got to the point I am. First of all, today, but definitely not in that moment because I was just folded like a lot of kids do today when they go in thinking about some a certain way, and you go in as the fifth string player and you just like, man, I'm finna transfer.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
out of here. You know what I mean? I'm finna quit right now. I'm good. No, I'm finna go home. I'm finna be a dog. Like I'm finna go take everybody's spot. and let's see who take it back. You know what I mean? Like,
100%. We've talked about it on the
Mhm.
show before, about the transfer portal. I think there's a good reason for it, right? Because I do think that some people are in some poor situations. They need to get out and they need a fresh start. But I do think that it's taken away some of that, like, man, I can't run away from this. Either I don't play football or I got to put my nose down and freaking work.
yeah,
And I think it's given, because of how lenient it is and because of, just especially now with how the NIL is making it a free agent signing every single year. I think it's given people too many, like, too big of an out to be able to say, man, I ain't gonna work for this, man. Screw you guys, I'm out.
hmm
Because there's there's something to be said for that. That guy that said, man, screw it, man. You don't believe me right now? I'm gonna go take the job. Because how many kids nowadays just end up pouting?
hmm
You know?
Mhm.
I mean, all of them do it. I mean, I always go back to my Wake Forest days because, like, I feel like you said it earlier, I feel like not feel like, I know that the classes that came in with me and the guys that played while I was there, we changed their program. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be any other questions about it. Like, of course, that the 2006 to about 2009 range, they were really good. They won the Orange Bowl, all of that. They were really good. Kudos to those guys. We met a lot of them too, but like we brought Wake Forest back, and like it's nothing. You can go look at the stats, all of that, and look at the turning in the program. But it wasn't it didn't happen overnight. You know what I mean? It took a lot of dogs. It took a lot of guys that just said we're not gonna just get beat up on every day. You know what I mean? And we're gonna sit here and we're gonna grind it out and fight together. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the guys, it wasn't many guys that I came in with that I didn't graduate with. You know what I mean? That didn't leave with me. You know what I'm saying? So like I feel like a lot of that retention that you could have got back then at a Wake Forest, you're not gonna get right now because kids, as soon as they feel like they're not the starter, they're out. You know what I mean? One guy
Mhm.
that always pops up in my mind that I think about a lot, like when I was at Wake, his story is crazy. It's somebody like A.T. Perry that I played with at Wake. He's playing for the Saints right now. You know what I mean? Like he was a guy that was playing behind all type of NFL receivers that we had when he was at Wake. And when he got his shot, he went crazy. You know what I mean? Like he went crazy. But like think of AT when he was a freshman or a sophomore would have just said, bumping. I'm going somewhere else. You know what I mean? I'm gonna drop down. I'm gonna drop down a level, or I'm gonna go somewhere else. He might not have got that same stage or that same target, or been the same player. You know what I mean? If he would never stayed that way. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like he just because he got used to that offense, he got used to what it took to win that weight. He got used to that quarterback. He got used to what it took to be around his teammates every day. You know what I mean? Like you go to another situation, you got to go relearn all of that.
100%.
Mhm.
And a lot of kids don't realize that. Like you got to be a certain type of personality to go up into a brand new situation, especially with a game like football that is emotional and as aggressive as it is, and think you're gonna be the same dog. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
A
It's
lot of them
it's
think it's going to be easier, but it's actually harder because you're going in a new environment, new teammates. You have to prove yourself, and it's a lot harder. And a lot of people think it's the easy route too.
Yeah, it's not just like you're just going to go change teams. I mean, you're changing
Yeah.
cities, sometimes state. You're going to, like, you don't know anybody there more times than not. Brand new classroom, brand new teachers, brand new health staff, brand new, just everything. I mean, Tyler, you had a diploma from Wake Forest and are having to turn around and ask people for direction to get around a small campus like North Greenville. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's a
Yeah.
completely different feel, and a lot of people don't take that into account. Um,
Mhm.
there's I train a former um, Northwestern football player, and both of his sons were big time baseball players and won some national championships. And the things that he talked about, he played at Northwestern before they were good,
Mhm.
um, and he talked about seeing the championship teams with his son. The biggest difference had nothing to do with the talent on the field. It had to do with the love and the on the bench.
Man, like like that's something we talk about all the time at CSU. Like you gotta love each other, you know what I mean? You gotta love the team every day, you know what I'm saying? And if you don't love the guy that you playing next to, you're gonna be a bad football team. You know what I mean? Because he could care less if you get dogged off the line. You know what I mean? He can care less if he messes up because he don't care about you. He don't care that I messed up and it's costing all of us. You know what I mean?
100%.
And
Yeah.
that's what I think the transfer portal is killing right now, is because kids don't care. You know what I mean? They go into other school and being like, well, I guess we were supposed to be good, but we not. So I don't really care. I came here to just get some film. You know what I mean? And it kind of goes back to what your brother said earlier with Caleb Williams. You know what I mean? He's might be a good example of that. You know what I mean? I went to other school. We thought it was gonna be this. We not. I have no loyalty to this school. I can care less. You know what I mean? I'm finna go get my NIL deal, and I'm finna go back to my $3,000 a month apartment with my card and my NIL bought, and I'm gonna chill. Like
Hmm.
I could care less. I might not ever be. He might not ever
And
go to campus.
and
You know
spend
what I
this
mean?
credit card my agent gave me.
Yeah.
Exactly. He might not ever go to campus. Think about it. I think about that. Like he might not ever. He live off campus. He probably goes to campus for meetings and practice.
But at the same time, like it, you're going into that last year, you're done after December anyway. Like you ain't going to class. What are they gonna? Because they ain't gonna just kick you out. You go to enough to show up, so they don't, drop you, right? And then you just quit going to class because if you fail all your classes, who cares? You're gone anyway.
But you think about it, a lot of these schools, like I mean, at Wake, as high academic standard Wake is, we didn't have class requirement like as many days you had to go. Like it wasn't, you didn't have, if you didn't go to class, they were like, well, you paying 75,000 to not come to
One
class.
hundred
That's cool.
percent, as the way it should be. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to not that was I will say this: my very first college professor that I ever had, I had an economics class as a true freshman in college. I don't know who the fuck does that, but the
Crazy.
anyway, he came in and he's like, "Look, y'all are grown. We have 3 test dates and an exam. Here are the 4 dates I recommend you showing up. After that, I don't really care what you do with your life."
Mhm.
Like, all right, cool, appreciate it. Now I know going into it, like, I don't feel like going to class today. That's on me to figure it out.
Mhm.
And if I don't figure it out, then I'm wasting my own money. You
For
know?
sure. You know what I mean? And like that's exactly what I'm saying. Caleb, there's no way he like cared. You know what I mean? But that's what I said. A lot of kids, they transfer to another school. They're like, well, these coaches didn't recruit me out of high school. These players, I haven't grown up with them. I just got here 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? And like I was the type of player when I transferred, I didn't go into like, oh, I'm from Wake Forest and blah blah. But I feel like that's why the guys embrace me a lot more because I was a regular dude. You weren't gonna just know I came from Wake Forest and let you ask me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and I think your personality also helps with that a lot too. Like, you're also not walking around being like, "Yo, man, I know what I'm doing." Like, I played at Wake Forest. It's I mean, don't get
yeah.
me wrong. You were repping your Deacon gear. Don't get me wrong. Like they knew
Y'all ain't
we.
give me no gear. Y'all ain't give me no gear. Don't do that. It wasn't no gear. That's what I told them every day. I said, that's why they stopped asking me. Cause I was just like, as soon as y'all give me a shirt, I'll wear it. But until then,
I mean, they give you a workout shirt and then told you can't take it out of the building.
that's what I'm saying. I was like, okay, so stop telling me I can't wear my own gear. This is the clothes I have.
One hundred
And
percent,
until you
man.
give me some gear,
Hey,
I'm gonna
man.
wear
I know the
it.
life. I know the life, dude. I guarantee I can go right now, look in your closet, and I'm gonna see 3 things. I'm gonna see a rack of black and gold. I'm gonna see a rack of red and black, and I'm gonna see a rack of blue and gold. Like I.
Yeah, it's definitely sit
And
like
then you
that.
may have like 4 shirts you go out in. Like I
I
get
got
it, man.
some.
Like you get so much free stuff when it's going. I mean, that's what you get. Like that's what you're going with. But at the same time, if somebody came up and want to talk with you, you were very much like, yo, man, we're going out here to go win, and you took that approach and that mentality. But yeah, no, this when he was saying that he could tell how successful they were going to be at the beginning of the season based off of how many guys were sitting on the bench versus how many guys were standing at the fence in those baseball games, like it became obvious from the very start how successful this team was going to be. If every
Mhm.
single one of those players were glued up to the front of that bench, locked in on the game and everything that was happening, they cared, they loved each other, they supported each other, they were going to go win a lot of games. When they went up there and you had 2 or 3 guys hanging out there on the fence and everybody else, hanging out on the bench, just chilling, maybe they're watching, but they ain't up there, like they ain't locked into it. It's a little different when you're hanging out there in the back. Then he knew it wasn't going to be the same type of year. And I thought that was a very interesting thing to get and comprehend because, in football, it's challenging sometimes just to get the guys. If you're coaching offense, You got one running back on the field. You've got what, another 3 or 4 dressed?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
4 or 5, right? It's hard to keep those 4 or 5 guys locked in while you're on offense. Like, I
Yeah.
don't care what position or what school you're at. Like, just keeping those guys locked in while their position group is on the field is a
Mhm.
challenge now.
I mean, I could even think at the Power Five level. Like, I could think about times when I was playing, like guys that they know they not getting the game. They sitting on the bench while the offense out.
100%. Like,
But like we had such a good culture that if he did that, he was gonna be the only guy on the bench, and somebody from a box was gonna say, "Hey, get so and so off of the bench."
100%. If defense is on the field, offense, go chill on the bench. Get some rest because we need you all boys to come back on. But if the
Mhm.
offense is on the field, you guys better be up there on the line, like getting those guys on, paying attention to what's happening, seeing what's going on, maybe being able to hear the adjustments as they're happening and as they're going in. I had a rule with the defense that if the defense is on the field, we're all strapped up, locked up. Like if I turn and look at you and your helmet ain't buttoned and you're not ready to run on that field right now, I ain't putting you out there.
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've
like
seen
100%. Like man, when
like
like man, when we're ready to go to war, right? And I can only have so many dudes out there. If your sword ain't out ready to freaking cut somebody's throat, then I'm gonna turn to the guy that is, right?
yeah.
Because that's the time. If your helmet ain't strapped up and locked up, that's the time you run out on the field, and that's the one time that little click strap jams up and you can't get it all the way out there. And now we
Mhm.
got to burn time out because
And a lot of
you weren't
people,
ready.
football's that sport where like you might not think you're gonna get played, but I mean, football is a violent sport, and you're like, dang, and then like, hey, you're next man up, and you're like,
100%. I mean,
what?
how many guys have got opportunity to hit the field that would never touch the field just because the guy you wanted to put in there wasn't ready, and you literally had to look at the guy right next to him that was locked in, helmet strapped up, mouthpiece in, looked you in the eyes, and you're like, screw it, go. And they get their opportunity to go do something with it.
The thing I always tell my guys, like, man, look, and I feel like, but that's why I feel like every room I've had really good integrity in my room. Like, I feel like guys really buy into what I'm telling them, but I also want them guys to be a family. You know what I mean? Yeah, y'all competing against each other, but if you're in the running back room, y'all got to be a family. You know what I mean? I need y'all to be the coach when I'm not around. I need
1,000%.
y'all. If I'm talking to another guy that's not if I'm talking to another guy, I need y'all to help the guy that just came off to see what he had going on, or I need him to be able to ask y'all what happened in that play, or what was y'all saying? Not, hey, bro, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know what happened, bro. You know what I mean? I don't
Mm-hmm.
want those guys. You feel me?
Oh yeah,
And I feel like
you want
that's
those
what.
guys that come off and you're like, hey man, we're running inside zone over here. You had a hole here. You could have cut it back into here, but you ended up trying to bounce outside. Like they should be so locked in. They can do the coaching for you because you guys watch enough tape. Like I know how it is. All those guys watch enough tape where if I showed it on tape right now and I could say what's wrong with this picture, and it's something like from a running back room, you cut it outside and went east and west opposed to having a hole that you can go cut it up straight up field. Every single dude in that room is going to know exactly what it is, and if you're paying attention, you can see things like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that defensive end is just like really powering that tackle up there, and you should know right off the bat because that dude is just like getting manhandled. I should be looking for the cutback. Even if I'm a bounce it outside guy, like our guy over there is getting whooped on a regular basis, I got to make an adjustment. But if you run in there for the first time and you ain't taking a snap and you haven't been locked in on the game and you don't understand something like that, now you go run into the ass of your tackle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like,
It's
that's kind of to go back to like my point. Like the reason why I think I have a good integrity in my room because guys they know like. Man, if you over there pouting and all of this, and then now somebody got hurt, you got to go in the game and you go and just poop on yourself. You know what I mean? You might not ever touch the field again, and just remember that everybody else saw that example that I've been told y'all about a week ago or 3 weeks ago. They just saw the example of the guy that's not locked in, that's sitting over here playing and talking, and now he's in the game, and he didn't fumbled, he didn't went the wrong way, he didn't missed a cut, he's not locked in. You know what I'm saying? He didn't something false start, whatever. You know what I mean? Because it happens. We've seen it 1,000 times, and
Go
I
the
bet
wrong
just
way on a handoff. The little
Yeah.
things like just.
I just seen. I bet viewers just out there or fans out there just they don't even notice it with some of the games on TV is because it's just like, bro, you just lock in. You know what I mean? Just be in tune to the game because you never know what can happen. You know what I mean? Especially at the running back position, the D line position. You know what I mean? Receiver. That's three positions on the field
That are
that's
constantly rotating. Constantly
exactly that's
rotating.
tough.
Like your
You know what I
safeties
mean?
are your
Especially
safeties. Those dudes are like when you have two good safeties, they ain't coming off the field because
Exactly.
you
You
ain't
got two
got
good corners,
nobody deeper, right?
two
But
good corners. They're not coming off the
and
field.
corners, right? They ain't coming off.
Yeah.
If you got a good corner out there, he's taking every single snap he can breathe to take
Yeah.
because you can't afford like those are one time done playmakers done. You have no backup, no help. You one on one. That's you and you. But running backs constantly rotating through, D linemen constantly rotating through, wide receivers constantly rotating through. Like you're gonna get an opportunity at some point if you're in the mix. The first thing is just working your butt off to get into the mix. But then what are you
Yeah.
gonna do when you get that opportunity?
Yeah, that's like what Tyler said. Like, I think it's the mentality. If you have your, let's say, six running backs that you have in your room, and they have that mentality to like be leaders, like you're saying, to be eyes. If you're a fifth, fourth round running or fourth on the depth chart, and you're watching and instead of standing there talking to someone, when a player come off field, you might be able to see something that could help your game. It's like you're not just helping him, you're helping yourself because you could see something that might help you out compared to just standing there talking. So it's like I think a lot of them don't really the people that kind of like we talked about that kind of like I'm not up there first, second string. It's like there's no point. It's like you're hurting yourself more than two thinking about that you're helping the other person. You're really hurting yourself too, as much as they're not paying attention to that.
I'm about to say something that I do that's probably backwards, but I feel like it works. When guys first get off the field, like I let them talk to each other. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like talk to
Mhm.
each other. You know what I mean? Talk to each other. Hey, tell him what you might have saw. Shoot, ask him what he saw. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause that, like your brother just like what Matt just said. You're gonna learn something by the guy that was just in the game. What if I just told you, hey, Vols, you're up, you got the next drive. Matt's gonna be tired. You better go ask him what he just saw. You know what I mean? If you
100%.
want, if
Because
you're
the
a good
game is
competitor,
constantly evolving.
To a life lesson to put, I know we talk about sports, but a life lesson that were kind of hit me just now when I'm at work and I'm like, I have a new job that I've started. When I'm watching someone do something, I'm not just sitting there on my phone talk like I'm watching what they're doing because I start picking up. I'm a better visual person where if maybe I'm not hands on, I'm able to pick something up just like in your life. It's like it's kind of a great example of like you're doing a sports and you're able to see someone and pick it up. It's something else that it's the same thing in life. You can do the same thing. Just being locked in will help you in sports and your future beyond the sports of being a coach or whatever field you ever path that you continue after college. But
100%. It's for sure a crucial part of learning is being able to learn from the mistakes of others.
yeah,
But yeah, no, like you were saying, being able to watch and learn from somebody else's actions only increases your ability to perform. You know, like it's one of the biggest things that especially young kids, man, just can't understand that if they're and granted, we probably all did the same thing when we were younger too. Now we're just older and been there, done that, and I'm sure our parents probably told us the same thing that I'm going to say here. But if you can't watch somebody else and learn from their mistakes, and you have to put yourself in a position to learn the hard way every single mistake you run into, you're never going to
mhm,
be able to get ahead because you're always playing catch up.
Mhm.
every time.
You
I
know,
wonder. My thing is like I keep on hearing the generation coming up is like everyone's saying just with social media. You know how like the younger generation, TikTok is their biggest social media, and you start hearing the social media is like a 5 seconds. And I wonder if that's more true since Tyler, I know since you're coaching now, and Brian, you experience like you hearing the generations like 5 seconds. If they're not interested, they're moving on. If it's like more of their generations, it's harder to lock in than anything. It's not that they don't want to. It's just like that's just how
No,
they like.
you definitely got to be creative now. I will
Yeah,
say, in your
yeah.
meetings, in my meetings, I might change my meeting up. If I got 5 meetings in a week, I might change it up 5 times. You know what I mean? Like you can't ever have the same meeting twice. Like I think that's like 1,000% true. The kids just not. They're not gonna be locked in. I mean, even my generation, like we went. I mean, you talking at us for more than 15 minutes, like
Hey man,
Lord.
all I know is you've been practicing. You got 6 hours of practice under your belt already today, and you've been going hard, and the lifting session in there, and then now we're gonna go sit, and you've been to class all day, and then now we're gonna go put you into a dark room to go watch some tape.
I'm gonna be sleep, coach.
Like,
Wait,
it's not like,
Out.
and here's the thing, right? I coached for over 10 years, and I saw it happen for over 10 years. At some point in time, you can't say that's on the players. Like, it's just we as coaches have to do a good job of making sure you keep things interesting. I was always one that was going to constantly be asking questions, asking guys to correct other guys, giving guys up to the board, like giving guys the remote, like, yo man, hey, you're running the meeting today. Like my older guys, like I'd give them the remote at least once a week. One of my top guys, just so they could get the experience, especially if they told me they wanted to be a coach. Like, hey man, go coach right here. Right? This is your
Mhm.
chance. And I ain't leaving you alone. Obviously, I'm right here. We're still gonna get everything we need to get done. But because when you got other guys up there that are coaching, especially guys that are your dudes, man, those guys lock in, and it's just like you said, finding ways to be creative to keep them interested and engaged, because we are a very much a click and scroll on society right now. Like,
And then like I feel like a lot of coaches don't be afraid to let the kids like joke around a little bit. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
don't sit there and be freaking stern and all in their face and you like, come on, bro.
Like
Like
there's sometimes you got to send a message, right? And we can all
yeah,
understand that. But if you're like that every day, they're gonna go numb to it and they're gonna tune you out.
every day. They gonna not now you're gonna have a problem, like you said. They gonna be sleeping the meetings, they're not gonna be paying attention to what you're doing. You're gonna be wondering why they busting stuff at practice every day because they're not listening. Like,
100%.
and they're gonna get to a certain point where they're gonna get used to, like you said, they're gonna build a callus to it, and they're just gonna be like, "Well, I'm looking at him, but I'm not paying attention to anything he's saying." Like,
100%. And I
and
think you
that's
get
not cool.
two coaches that on either side they can go too far extremes, especially younger coaches that get into these habits, and then now they're 50 years old and they're still throwing a temper tantrum, right? And it just don't work the same. But you get two types of young coaches that come in. One that wants to be laid back, wants to be friends with the players, who wants to be chilled, and gets to the point where he's so chill and so laid back he doesn't get anything done, right? Because
Mhm.
he's more worried about being friends than he is about correcting mistakes. And then you
Mhm.
get the other side of it where they feel like they got to, they had a coach that was always on their butt, and that's how they learned, and that's what they need to do. And then now they're just like taking it to the other extreme. Man, you got to be able to flow in and out based off of the day, based off of what's going on with your guys. Sometimes they've already had their ass kicked enough on the field or had from the head coach. They don't need you there too. Sometimes they need you to be the one that's there to wrap their arms around them and just tell them you love them. Other times you got to be that guy that got to have that needs to give a kick in the ass. But it's the good coaches that can recognize the time and the place to give those guys what they need and give the individuals what they need, right? Like, as well as I do, there's a D lineman at North Greenville that I love with everything I have, but if I jumped on his case, man, he's shut down. I wasn't going to get anything out of him. He was done. But then there were other guys where if I didn't go jump down their throat, then they were going to take every single thing that they could.
And see, that's what like you just hit it on the head. Like I was saying this to some coach the other day. Like that coaching nowadays is not a one shoe fits all
Mhm.
style. Like that doesn't work. You know what I
I
mean?
need a
Like
degree in psychology.
no fair. Like just like you gotta talk to the kids, but not even a degree in psychology. Yeah, like but I mean, learn to talk to somebody. You know what I mean?
100%.
Learn to get on their level. You know what I mean? That's that. I feel like that's my biggest. I don't want to say advantage, but my biggest advantage is just first thing that came to my head is because one, I'm young. Two, I played at the highest level of college football. But three, I work to get on their level every day. You know what I mean? Like I first of all, I probably do all the same things they do and listen to about the same music, you know what I mean? That type thing. And we probably consume the same things on a daily basis. But like at the end of the day, like you gotta find a way. If you're not doing that, if you're not already consuming what they consuming, you gotta find a way to get on their level. If you don't
100%.
find a way to get on their level, you don't want to be a coach. You know what I mean? You want to be a dictator. And dictators don't work in college football or
Especially
coaches.
now, especially nowadays. Like it used to, like Bear Bryant, he could have been all the dictator he wanted to because it was a shut up and listen kind of deal. But man, we're
Yeah.
in a society where the athletes have voices and it ain't going away. And as the coaches, man, you either got to listen and tell and figure out the times. Because don't get me wrong, right? There are some times where you got to look at a kid in the face and be like, dude, hey, just shut up and listen for a second. I will give you your chance. But there's not. But once again, right? It's the difference between shut up and listen for a second. I'll give you a chance and shut your mouth. Nobody cares.
Yeah, and but the thing is, like a lot of these coaches, they try to force respect, earn respect from the players. You're not gonna do that. You know what I mean?
What's
Like,
what's the old
but
coach say, man? They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Like
exactly. Like
it goes back to relationships.
we talk about it every day. Like we invest in our athletes' lives at CSU. Like we making sure we're doing that. So first of all, I was gonna do that regardless. You know what I mean? That's just me. I'm gonna invest people that I know. I'm gonna invest in your life. I'm gonna know what I want to know what you got going on. I want to know how who you are as a person. I want to know how you are in general on a daily basis, especially if I'm gonna be around you at all. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But two, like coaches these days, like I feel like they're not investing in the kids' lives. So whenever it gets hard, they killing them, and it's just like, man, you don't know, bro. Maybe his girlfriend broke up with him today, or his cousin is sick, or you know what I mean. His little sister had a freaking just broke her arm. You never know, you know what I mean. But
How
you
many
just get
coaches don't even know their players have siblings or have a girlfriend?
bags
Like,
like
man, those are the like. Here's the other thing, right? And I know, and because we worked at the same place, and I saw how players interacted with both of us. Like, there was a handful of us when we were working there that if I was gonna go walk down the hallway, there was a handful of offices that I was always seeing players hang out with. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? And then there's a handful of offices that you never saw players hang out in.
yeah.
And I think that speaks volumes of what the players think of you as a coach. Now, sometimes it can be you can be that guy too far on the other end, right? Where they go hang out with you because they see you more as a peer than as a mentor.
Mhm.
But I think that speaks volumes, especially when you have kids that don't want to go hang out with their coach. When all you're trying to do is get them to spend as much time as possible in that building. Like I
I mean,
think it speaks volumes of people as a coach when you see not only their position group, but other people gravitating to their office.
for
Like,
sure. Like I feel like that's like the most underrated thing that I feel like even some coaches today don't even notice. Like, bro, the players do not bang with you. They don't like you. You know what I mean? They are tolerating you. And if you can't tell the difference, you're not gonna make it. You know what I mean? And like that's just the reality of the day. Because like you said it, you hit the nail on the head. Like the players got a voice. You know what I mean? And if these coaches just want to bounce from school to school and they want to keep recruiting these kids are talking to each other, first of all,
they've
and
known
they
each
talk
other since they were 5. Like,
exactly they're talking to other people. Like first of all, you're not gonna get no recruits. You know what I mean? And second, if you do end up jumping to another school, that you're starting whatever position you at, probably already know who you is and know about you already and
Think
know what type
about
of person you are. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say, think about this. Some of the higher D1 players probably make more money than some of their coaches. They're like, "Well, look at you, man. I make more money than you, and
Yeah.
you're trying to
And
coach me."
it goes back to the respect thing though.
Yeah,
If at the end of the day, if you have the respect from the players, it does not matter your age, your ethnicity. I mean, really anything. You know what I mean? You're at anything, any point. Like if you have the respect of the players, they're gonna listen to you regardless. You know what I mean? And I'm speaking from both sides. You
and
know what
what's
I
the
mean?
easiest way to get that respect, man? Just be honest with them, right?
Yeah,
Like,
be 100 with them at all times, no
if
matter no matter if it's hard or not, if it's gonna hurt their feelings or not. They'd rather know than for you to keep it from them and sit there and go toe for toe with them and argue them down about something that you really don't want to stand
yeah,
on. You know what I mean? Because they want to stand on what they want to say, but you just
100%.
saying it just because they kids aren't stupid. They pick up on that. You know what I mean? They're not gonna
Absolutely.
just sit there and let you blow smoke up their butt and call it fairy dust. You know what I mean? They're not doing that. They're not doing
100%.
it.
When
Like
you treat grown men like grown men, they start to act like grown men.
exactly. Oh my God. Like Say it, preach. Like,
Like, I think there's two things that every coach needs, and that is the ability to humble themselves, right?
yeah.
And the ability to be honest with their players. Like, if you can do those two things, you'll
Mhm.
be just fine as a coach, as long as you're just not, a complete idiot when it comes to figuring out the game, right? Because it's football. It's
Yeah.
really not that complicated, right?
It's
There's
not okay.
five runs and essentially two times the coverages. Like, football is football. At the end of the day, the hardest part about coaching is getting 100+ guys on the same page fighting for the same thing. And that has nothing to do with X's and O's.
Mhm.
And it comes down to mutual respect between players and coaches. It comes to the ability to look at yourself in the face and be like, man, maybe I was wrong in this situation. And instead of having too much pride, we all make mistakes. A player will respect you so much more if you make a mistake and you go back to them and you apologize to them because you made a mistake. I will guarantee you that 9 out of 10 times, any coach in America, if they go and apologize to a player because they made a mistake and they take ownership for it, you will completely see a change in the relationship with you and that player.
Man, like man, my players every day. I'm like, man, I'm not the best. I'm not the best talker out in the world. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna mess up a word or I'm gonna say the wrong thing every once in a while. Bro, correct me. You know what I mean? I'm not on this high pedestal. Yeah, I'm a coach, bro. I'm not on this high pedestal where you can't say nothing to me. Well, I can't say nothing to Coach Bell because he feels like that's disrespectful. No, if I meant to say this is inside zone, this is outside zone, be like, hey, Coach Bell, I think that's outside zone. My fault. I
Okay.
got you. This
I
is
understand.
outside zone. You are correct.
You
Like
got a
I'm not
thousand things going
my
on in your
fault.
mind, and
Exactly.
things are going to come out wrong. You're going to say something wrong, and but the ability to take the criticism, and this is for a coach or a player, and sometimes it's harder for the coach than it is for the player, but we
Yeah.
want to harp on about how hard it is for the players, but to be able to take on criticism and
Yeah.
understand that it's not personal. We're trying to accomplish a job. I think a lot of people have issues. When I hear things about work drama from people outside of football, a lot of times when I hear about it, I'm thinking about like, man, this is all starting because somebody took it personally. What the game of football has helped me with, especially on game days, you have to realize that nothing said or in the way that it was said is personal. I ain't got time for your personal. We trying to win a game, right?
Yeah. I ain't
I
got
love
time for
you. I care for you. If your mama just came down to the stands and said your grandmother's in the hospital, I will take 5 minutes out of the game to go hang out with you and do what we need to do because the game can wait.
Mhm.
But if we're trying to win a game, I'm trying to win a freaking game. Like, dude,
Right now.
take personal out of it. When I tell you something, I'm not attacking your character. I'm attacking you as a football player. The problems you're having I shouldn't say that. I'm not attacking you as a football player. I'm attacking the problems that you're having as a football player. And
Mhm.
we're trying to overcome that together. But coaches alike, players have trouble taking criticism and not taking it as a personal attack instead of a learning experience.
I mean, the people are soft. It's 2024. Bro. People are soft. I hate to say it. You know what I mean?
Don't tell me I'm wrong. I know everything. Man, you don't need.
What do you like? Come on, bro. Like people are soft. They don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear
I feel
that.
like they're soft, but also everyone looks at it like everyone's against me. It's like everyone now younger is like thinks everyone's out to
It's
get
victim
me, and it's like you're
mentality.
not. Yeah.
It's victim
Nobody,
mentality.
It's like
yeah,
my
but
cut man, I can't believe that my film room, my coach was just attacking me. It's like, no, he was just it's like every time it's like it's the me type me.
Well, it's this idea that football is the ultimate team sport, right? It is the ultimate team sport. You can have one dude. I can put LeBron James on one team, and they're going to go to the playoffs every year, right? But you can't put Barry Sanders on the Carolina Panthers and expect him to take them to a Super Bowl. You know,
not.
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the ultimate team sport, but we're in the ultimate I generation,
Mhm.
right? Because of social media and because of I think it has to do with the participation trophy. You know, cool. You won. You did such a great job. Like, we're not keeping score for kids. Like, you gotta figure out how to accept losing more so than you need to figure out how to accept winning. Accepting winning's easy.
But
Accepting
I
losing is hard, and that's something you got to figure out as a 4-year-old.
but I think a lot of these kids when they growing up, like I didn't get one participation trophy when I was growing up. You know what I'm
100%.
saying?
Yeah, you were on the tail end of that right before all that started kicking in.
I'm saying so like a lot of these kids grew up with no matter what they was in, whether it was underwater basket weaving or whatever it was, they were gonna sit there and get a participation trophy, whether they sat the bench or played 40 minutes a game. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, and all of them just feel like I mean it goes back to the all the bottom tier kids just feel like, hey man, I'm that guy. You know what I mean? Because I got this trophy too, and that ain't life, my boy. You
Well,
know what I
and how many times
mean?
of it is just like all these? How many times have you seen a coach that has a phenomenal player on their roster, but they're afraid to coach them?
They scared. That's all it is. It's fear.
They're
First of all, it's fear to lose the kid, but it's fear because either you not very confident in your own coaching ability or you're scared of the kid. That's just very. I mean, it's super cut and dry.
right.
Like,
You're scared
There's
of
no
pissing them off, and then them going to go just like, well, fine, I'm done here, because you used to be able to challenge kids a little bit more, right? Now, if you challenge them, they take it as a threat, and they want to leave, or you know. I heard ESPN guy say before, whatever, he's like, you're one tweet away from losing a 5-star recruit.
it's the social media, the type of that everyone's I it's just how kids are raised now. It's like from I feel like how I've seen it talking about just sports, but in life too. I have two younger sister-in-laws, and it's like I see it at their age. Anything something posted on Facebook or messaging stuff like that, they take it personal, and they just like it's like why are you letting that affect you? It's not like it's something out of your control, but it's like it's just. I mean, go back to football. It's the same kind of like same concept for other stuff, but
100%.
control, man.
Absolutely. Man, I used to that see that I guess the difference is between, our generation and the current generation that's going through all this is, and Tyler, I guarantee that you're going to feel the same way that I do about this, because we're very similar humans within, this capacity. If somebody comes up and tells you sorry, you
Oh,
sh-
you got to show me I'm sorry.
right?
I
Like it's
don't
that
care what
show
it
me
is.
mentality. It's that, all right, bet, let's see what happens.
I don't
Like,
care
you
what it
just
is. My
fired me
parents
up.
have
You just
my
opened up
parents
a
be
can
throwing
you didn't want to
rocks.
see. Like,
Be throwing rocks in the sea. I'm throwing my rock hard.
all
Like
right,
I
man.
don't care.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I may not show you within that conversation what you just did, but you about to see what you just did.
Yeah.
But we don't have that now.
Nah, a lot of
Now, if I say you sorry, you go laugh at me like, all right, and then just go on and be like, if that's how it's gonna be, I'll go find somebody that thinks that I'm who I am, and it's done. And there's not that, like, let me show you what's up kind of mentality.
yeah.
It's this: if you don't give me what I deem to be respect right now, unearned,
I'm gonna go get it somewhere else.
I'm gonna get it somewhere else, right?
Ooh, like I'm the type of coach. I mean, you know my personality. Go do that. Good job. You know what I mean? Because a lot of kids don't understand that it's a lot of kids like they have made the portal where you got to get in certain windows and stuff now to
Hey,
where
they've
they
tried to
it ain't
restrict it a little
wild,
bit.
wild west. It ain't wild wild west no more. You know what I mean? But still, these kids they just feel like they got the upper hand. It's just like they do have upper hand to an extent. But I'm the type of if you decide you want to choose on me, go ahead. You know what I mean? Because I know I'm doing everything on my side to make sure you got the best possible experience that you can have at this university. You know
I,
what I mean?
absolutely. I want to know your thoughts on this. We talked about this in our first episode this season. Um, but I've got a thought on the transfer portal that I think can fix some things, right? I know them limiting it to the windows is helping, but it's still just like a cesspool, right? Just everybody just diving in. I think they need to limit it a little bit, right? And I think you should have two free transfers, one as an undergrad and one for grad. And then I think you get another extenuating circumstance transfer. And that can be multiple. It's not just one. That can be a head coach leaves. Everybody on the team gets another free transfer.
Which that happens. Yeah.
Right? You get, maybe you have something personal going on that you can appeal. But right now, without anything, I can go to 5 different schools in 5 years. You know what I'm saying? I think if you at least can limit it to one undergrad, you sign to a school, it's not what you want, let's go try this again. You get another attempt to find a school where you fully believe that you want to be. Because the thing is, it's not like the NFL where you get drafted and this is the team you got to go play. You're still picking this school. Like, it's still your decision to go there. And it's just, let's show a little commitment, even if that's just 2 years, opposed to I'm going to go for a semester and I'm going to bail. I'm not saying like you got to put up with absolute misery, but I think just having, one free undergrad transfer will just slow kids down enough to think an extra second before just going and throwing their name in the transfer portal and just giving up on the opportunity. And the biggest problem that I have with the transfer portal is 78% of those that enter never play college football again.
Oh yeah, and that number is probably bigger, Bowles. Like
Like,
it gets crazy. It gets crazy every year. I remember when we was at NGU, I'm thinking from 22 to 23, I'm like, oh, it's not gonna get crazier than this, Or I guess 21 to 22, I was like, it's not gonna get crazier than this. And 22 to 23, just like, wow, it got crazier.
and it
You know
keeps
what I
getting
mean?
worse. Like every year,
This
it
past
just
year, it's like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like this is crazy. I feel like I'm getting hit over the head with a punch.
100%.
You were talking
No,
about like the running backs, like we were talking about earlier about the NFL, how many running backs were sending this past season. It felt like there was every single quarterback from a big Power Five was going to the transfer portal. They're like, where are they going to come out?
exactly. Like it's free. College football is turning into free agency every offseason, to be honest with you.
100%. It's, hey, who's going
You
to pay
may
me the
see
most NIL money? And then I'm
yeah,
going to sign a 1-year contract for $5 million. Then
Yeah,
let me turn around. All right, who can match that? Oh, you got
yeah.
7? Bet I'm going over here now. All right, and just like every year, just going to figure out who's paying me the most this
So
year.
now you got
one
to
year
figure out. You got to
commitment.
figure out another team. You got to figure out another city, like we were saying earlier. You got to figure out another university. You got to play on another stage. Like, why do you want to do that every year? You know what I mean? Like, I don't. That's what I just completely don't understand about some of the kids.
Shador Sanders was straight up like, "Hey man, you want me to stay in school? That's fine. I'll stay in school, but you better pay me double what I'd make as a rookie quarterback." And they said, "Fine, here you go. You're a
And
projected second round pick. Here you go."
he's that anomaly though that we were kind of talking about earlier, where okay, he was at Jackson State and Colorado. Yeah, it ain't.
He's different with the transferring, but I'm saying like that was his way to stay in school. Like he could have gone to the NFL or stay in school. Man, that's not a conversation you would have had 5 years ago. Because now you got a boost. I was like, yo, I'll pay you double what you're going to make next year in the NFL if you stay for one more season.
They're
I,
having there's more
I
conversation. I think there's more conversations too now about kids, how they're transferring. It's I think there's rumors that you might start seeing more kids pull like the Eli Manning, John Elway, like saying, "Hey, I don't want to get drafted by them too."
Bo Jackson.
And
Everybody forgets Bo
yeah,
Jackson did it too.
yeah, or people like Murray, like even when they were like thinking that if he doesn't like the team drafting him, he could go play baseball. So I think a lot of people are worried, or not worried, but just are starting to think that don't be surprised in the next couple of years, kids forcing their way of what team, even NFL team, not even like because it's college now with transfers, but it's definitely going to start leaking in the NFL and stuff like that of team players forcing their ways just because they know they have the leverage.
I mean, it's already leaked into the NBA, so
100%.
it's gonna leak into professional sports for sure. But I just think NFL has a little bit more leverage on the players than the NBA does. So that's why I think it ain't really leveraged into the NFL yet. But them NBA players, man, they forcing their way out of whatever they want to do. Like, yeah, I'm getting paid 42 million. Well, I want to get paid 43 million. I'm out
But it's
today.
also but it's
Yeah,
also a you know one player makes a bigger impact
yeah,
Sure,
in the
for sure.
NBA. Like it doesn't matter who LeBron's teammates are. Primetime LeBron is going to have a chance at winning the championship.
Mhm.
I don't care what team you can put the Pistons from this year and LeBron on that team in his prime, and they're a championship contender. They may not
Yeah.
win it, but they're going to be where Boston and Denver is right now. You know,
Yeah.
if you give them that LeBron, right? Like because one player can make that kind of impact and that kind of
I
difference.
mean, he kind of was on that team back with the Cavs
Yeah,
before he
when the
went to
Cavs in
Miami.
'07, yeah, when they went to when they lost to the Mavericks, like I mean that was that team. I mean LeBron had nobody else, and he still wasn't even in his prime at that point yet. Like you know,
Yeah.
he got better with age for a while. um, but so I want to keep us moving a little bit, and just kind of want to see since coaching from being a player. Is there anything you can say that's really stood out as something that you can say that you've learned? I know there's been a ton that you've learned since converting from or from player to coach, but if there was something that you could really hang your hat on as something you really wish you knew as a player that you've learned now coaching that you could give advice to somebody on, what would that be?
Uh, Man, that's a good question right there, boss. Uh, just because I've learned so much, I feel like I can just say a list of things, you know what I mean? But I'm trying to think of just the one thing uh that I could say.
If
Uh,
you go back and right now you could tell 18-year-old T-Bell something, but you only got 5 seconds, what are you telling them?
uh, Keep being consistent every day. That's probably one thing. Even though I feel like I was always consistent, but as a kid, like you feel like you've been consistent, you know what I mean? But you don't really know what consistency is until you in it, you know what I'm saying? And like even I feel like one of the biggest things I learned, especially when I got into coaching, was you gotta be consistent with a lot of recruiting, with just staying on top of your work, game planning, all that stuff, you know what I mean? And like as a player, of course you gotta be consistent, but like I said, you don't learn what that is until you really get a little bit older. And you know what I mean? And what you learn when you get older is that consistency is every day, not twice a week, 3 times a week. You know what I mean? I was the player that worked out 6 days a week, you know what I mean? But of course, I had the days where I might have worked out 6 days a week, but I might have ate crazy those couple days. You know what I mean? I might have did something crazier. You know what I mean? But like, uh, yeah, I would just say be consistent with your habits, T Bell. Like, be consistent. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing I could probably say. Be consistent with your habits. Be consistent on an everyday basis because once you get out of that habit of being consistent, it's hard to get back. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
hard to get back.
showing up's 90% of the battle, right? Like you can show up because if you show up every single day, you're gonna grow. You know,
Yeah,
even if
yeah.
you're not putting in everything that you need to be, man, if you're there every single day, you're growing, right? If you go to the weight room every single day, you're growing. You build those habits, you're growing. Like, but no, man, no, that's awesome. Now let me ask you this: if I'm a player that is trying to, maybe I'm a 3, 4 star recruit. I'm out there getting my phone blown up. I got 50 different coaches calling area codes I've never seen before in my life. People calling me up, pretending like they know who I am. We've never talked before, but they're offering me all this money, all this stuff. Man, what kind of advice you giving those guys?
Man, the advice I'm giving those guys is, man, trust the people around you. Don't try to make this decision on your own. You know what I mean? You're a young kid, a lot of money and a lot of decisions being thrown at you right now. Don't be an idiot and try to make those decisions on your own. You know what I mean? Be a guy that talks to people and figures out every little thing that you got to figure out about it. You know what I mean? And don't just be a guy that's just chasing money either. You know what I mean? If you just got to just chasing money, that money gonna chase you. You know what I mean? And eventually they're gonna stuff that money in your mouth and they're gonna tell you to shut up. You know what I mean? And once they do that, you're done. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it just don't chase that money, man. Chase the opportunity that's the best for you. You know what I'm saying? Don't make a decision about for anybody else that's in your ear, little Brody that from the block. Don't make a decision because he wants you to go to somewhere. You know what I mean? Make a decision because it's the best decision for you, the best decision for your family, and best decision for you 20 years from now. You know what I mean? Like not just well I might get 1.7 from them, but if I go here and get 800,000, I'm probably gonna start for 4 years. Like
100%. Yeah, man. If you always chasing that bag, eventually that bag's gonna run out, and you're gonna end up in it. Like,
mhm.
like,
Mhm.
and but no, that was one thing that I always tried to relay to my guys, and I know you do too, where it's like, man, you gotta listen to those around you, but you also gotta keep your circle small because you
Mhm.
gotta be careful of who you're listening to. But all that is to be taken as knowledge and as more things to add to the book. And then at the end of the day, you gotta do what's best for you, right? You harped on that, like listen to what everybody's saying, but make the decision based off of what's best for you.
Exactly, exactly. Like, I mean, I think about like going back on my recruiting process. Like, if I would just listen to everybody, I probably ended up at Southern Miss just because Southern Miss was winning a lot at that point. You know what I mean? They were, I mean, top of the Conference USA. You know what I mean? They were top of the. I mean, they were ranked. You know what I mean? My freshman year at Wake, they was like ranked top 20. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And Southern Miss was ranked and Wake wasn't at the time, right? Like,
exactly. You know what I'm saying? And like I could have listened to everybody and just been like, yeah, you got to go there because the athletics and you probably, you know what I mean? But what I didn't know is that the year after that, the whole coaching staff left. You know what I'm saying? What I didn't know is that the new coach stuff that came in was decent, but they weren't the same. You know what I mean? What I didn't know is the culture was complete dog poo like at a certain point. You know what I mean? Like that
yeah,
stuff you don't know. And I could have went into that situation not knowing any of that, but I went into a great situation where I learned how to win. I learned how to win the right way. You know what I mean? And I got an education uh that I wouldn't trade for anything. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of the kids they just looking at right now. And like I said, I'm blessed that God gave me the wisdom at a young age to kind of look past all of that, you know what I mean, and look past all the glamour and just say, hey, what's going to be better for T Bell in 10 years? You know what I mean? What's going to be better for 27-year-old T Bell and not 17-year-old T Bell? You know what I mean?
hmm
Like,
Yeah.
man,
and
that's hard for kids
it's
to
hard,
conceptualize, man.
especially when your mama don't know what's going on either. You know what I mean? Like, when I'm
But
sitting
but
here,
but you're not the only one, right? Like, how
yeah,
many
it's a
kids do
lot.
you recruit? Here's the thing, like everybody wants to say there's handbooks on getting recruited. I've looked at some of these handbooks. Most of them are absolute garbage, right? Like, yeah, 100%. And that's why, like with my business, I refuse to do a handbook. Everything we do is one-on-one. I'm not going to write a single email for you. I'm not going to call a single coach for you. I'm going to show you how you can become the best football player you could possibly be and how to build relationships to give you the best opportunity possible, right? Because there is no handbook you can just give to somebody and say this is how you get recruited. Like there's no secret to it. It's about how you play ball and the relationship you have with the guys that are recruiting.
Mhm.
There
And
is. The only way, I mean, there is, but those are money grabs. They're not legit.
well, yeah,
So,
How
but
do you show up on a daily basis? What do you do? You know what I mean? And the kids think, like you said earlier, we done hit on it probably 18 times throughout this pot. Like they just want to give it to them, give it to them. It's a popcorn society right now. You know what I mean? They just wanted to give it to them. And man, coach, you saw what I did in high school. Why I got to show you again? No, come earn it again, my guy. You know?
100%. Man, you always got to be earning it because if you ain't, somebody else is. Ain't no handouts. As much as we try to give every handout we can to children nowadays, ain't no handouts in life.
Yeah, because you give them the handouts now, they're gonna take all the brunt when they 27. You know what I mean?
100%.
When they 35, they're gonna be in the bad spot. I don't like wishing it knock on wood. I don't wish it on nobody. But it's gonna
Absolutely.
happen. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. You know what I mean?
hmm No. Now, going on to that, I know we're running short on time here, so I want to be respectful of your time and everything. But if if I'm a kid that's interested in coming to play at Charleston Southern, what are you looking for in your recruits?
And my specific room or
Yeah,
just in general.
no, we're talking about your running backs.
What I'm looking for first and foremost is a guy that's gonna love his teammates. You know what I mean? Somebody's gonna love his teammates, gonna love God. You know what I mean? Something that I mean, we are a Christian university, so of course we're gonna talk about that. You know what I mean? It's not just necessarily got to be your preference, but we're gonna talk about it. You know what I mean? But definitely the guy that's gonna love his teammates because in my room, like I said, I need a guy that's, hey, he's messing up. I need you to go talk to him. You know what I mean? Because I gotta help somebody else right now. You know, and I need a guy that's moldable. You know what I mean? I need a guy that's not just every time I say something to you, you got something else to say back. Because at that point, now I'm getting to the point where my personality, I gotta show you where I'm from. I'm not gonna tell you nothing else. You know what I mean? But my pride, or not my pride, my real self can't let me do that. So now we arguing. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
need you to be moldable. I need you to be able to take criticism and not argue with me every day. And I've got to the point with the integrity in my room now, or the culture in my room now, where if you start arguing with me, you better get ready to argue with six other people because they probably agree with exactly what I just said. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like you better be ready to argue with the other six backs that's in the room. So, uh, but I'm looking for a guy like that. I'm looking, but just intangible wise, I'm looking for somebody that's gonna be explosive. You know what I mean? I'm looking for a guy that's definitely gonna have some great short area quickness and stuff like that. Uh, but I mean, I definitely need a tough running back, especially in our offense. I need somebody that's gonna be able to, of course, take it a distance, but I need you to be a tough football player in general. And if you're gonna be a college division or player, you better be tough every day, especially if you say I'm gonna come in and play as a freshman, first of all, or play throughout my career. You gotta be tough. You know what I mean? You gotta be a guy that's gonna grind it out every single day and get through the off season, get through camp, get through. That's what kids don't realize. When they get to school at first, they realize, okay, well, I'm just gonna work out and then we plan the season. Oh, this is easy. Nah, you gotta play this. Now it's your second year. You gotta play, get through workouts in the summer, play the season, spring ball, spring workouts, summer workouts, camp. Now we gotta get back into the season. You got. I need a guy that's gonna be mature enough to be able to handle that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's half of it is my job, but half of it is the kid too. Because you know what I mean. You can a kid can fool you. He can be as mature as possible. Then he get to school, and he don't want no problems with that. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
he has no he doesn't want to know he doesn't want to do it. You know what I mean? That's just simple as it is. I'm trying to give a big word to it. It's simple as they just don't want to do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Man, when you
But
move away from home for the first time, you find out real quick what kind of kid you got. When
find
when
out
they
who
move away from mama, this is the first time that they're living on their own. Man, I know as well. You know as well as I do that we recruited some tough high school SOBs, and then the second they get on campus and their mama ain't anywhere, man, they turn into the softest individual you done seen. Like,
like stop calling your mama just because you need to wash your drawers, bro. Go I call me, tell you how to put your stuff in the washer. Like it's okay. You know what I
I'll
mean?
go down there and like throw the quarters in for you. Like I ain't touching your drawers to put them in there.
Yeah,
You stuff it,
like
shut the door, man. I'll show you how to get the quarters in there and what buttons to push.
it's
But
not that. But like I said, a lot of these kids they don't want to take accountability. You know what I mean? But I like that's kind of my biggest things when I talk to kids. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna give my spiel to a kid. We ain't gonna talk about no football. Like, I mean, first of all, like I said, you gotta be respectful to me. You know what I mean? You gotta be respectful to your guys. You gotta trust your teammates. You gotta trust us. And like I said, you gotta love it. You gotta love your team. You know what I mean? You gotta love your teammates. And you gotta make sure you're being mature in every situation. You know what I mean? I can't harp on that enough. Maturity is key, and especially in my room now with my culture. Like, you better be mature, or you gonna get bullied out of like not being mature. You know what I mean? Every day they're gonna tell you about why Coach Bill gotta tell you that every day. You know what I mean? Why Coach Bill gotta tell you to do your homework? You know what I mean? Why Coach Bill gotta tell you to go to class or go to workouts or do this, do that in practice? Nah. You know what I mean? I want guys that's gonna take accountability in their own selves. You know what I'm saying? Like and be wanting to get right. No, I don't want you to sit there and sulk and be mad at your teammates just because they try to tell you what it is. You know what I mean? That's the end of it. I'm trying to tell you what it is at the end of the day. And if you can't handle it, you're not a college football player, especially not a Division I college football player. And that's just the simple fact of the case, you know.
100%. If you can't handle it mentally and you can't handle it physically, you probably don't need to be involved in it.
Yeah, you need to get up out of there, you know.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of kids. They realizing it, but a lot of kids don't realize they just see the I wanna name a name, but I can't. But we both know the name of a guy that just wants to be all the glitz and glamour, but can't walk and chew gum. You know what I mean? They got all the
There's a couple
band,
like that.
They got all the bands, they got everything, you know what I mean? But you just all talk, but you came to school. As soon as it get hard, you know what's gonna happen to those kids? They're gonna fold every single time because they didn't come to school to play football. They came to school to look good and to look like they play football. You know what I mean?
Hey man, as long as Instagram say that I'm that university football player,
I'm good, man.
I'm
I'm
good,
good.
man.
That fame is gonna end in 4 years, my guy. So you better get ready for it. You know what I mean?
100%. Like life's gonna hit you at some point. I mean, ain't no doubt about it. Want to end on one more thing. I know spring ball just ended for you. Getting up into the heavy recruiting season again, right? Coming up, getting ready to get on the road here in another month or so. But camp season, a lot of kids have a lot of questions about camps, right? And you've got these big, you got three types of camps I think that are out there. You've got these giant mega camps where you're
Yeah.
getting 1,200 kids out there. You've got these big time D1 camps like your Georgias, your Clemsons, your South Carolinas. And then you've got these more elite prospect camps where it's a little bit smaller number at the smaller universities, like your Charleston Southerns, like your Furmans, like your, you know,
I think it might actually be four because you think about the big power fives, they're gonna have their regular elite camps too. You
yeah,
think about like the Clemson camps and stuff that we went to, they was doing those overnight stuff.
they
That's
are, but you still got 1,000 kids there.
yeah.
It's not the mega camps where they're bringing in, where you've got like Mercer who's bringing in 120 different universities to kind of stand around. Clemson is bringing in 1,000 kids, but they're bringing in a bunch of coaches to work. It's not really like this a mega camp, right? It's still Clemson's camp. But then,
It might as well be a big
yeah,
but
right. But it's still coached, right? Like I guess what I'm getting at is I see a lot of camps that are combine driven. I
mhm,
see a lot of camps that are developmental driven, and then there's camps that are recruiting driven,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
The mega camps that are out there are primarily all combine driven, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Y-
to an extent. Yeah.
You're going to do the 40, you're
Hey,
going to do the
Mercer puts on a really good mega camp.
who's that?
Mercer.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Because you do have some skill based stuff in there, right?
yeah,
My problem with mega camps is it's extremely hard to get noticed unless you're the top 10%.
very factual.
Yeah.
Very
Like,
true.
unless you have a coach that you hit up personally and you're like, hey, coach, I'm going to be at Mercer on Wednesday. You're going to be over there. Would love to talk with you. Unless you already have that's already there, where you've got somebody that's looking for you. If you're going to go get noticed, I think it's extremely hard to do at a mega camp unless you're like that guy,
Oh yeah, that's
right? And if you're not sure if you're that guy, you're not that guy.
I'll give you an example. There's a camp that we went to, Brian, the same, and there was a camp that I know you didn't go. I went to North Carolina and South Carolina universities camps. I know you went to North Carolina. North Carolina, like you talking about, you doing kind of like combines, and you knew they were recruiting, bringing players, and the O line coach was not really looking at anyone. He was focused on a handful because he was trying to recruit them. Compared to when I went to South Carolina, there was probably like maybe 10 to 15 offensive linemen there. And the lineman coach, especially the first year I went, he was on my ass because he was like trying to help me. We were doing drills, we were doing not combine. So it was like the smaller, I felt the South Carolina, I got a lot more out of it than being in that bigger camp.
Matt, I'm going to tell you why. And T Bell doesn't know this because he's only looking at you on Zoom. You got put into the wrong group in Chapel Hill, but your 6'7" ass got put in the group where that coach is trying to pay attention to you over there in South Carolina. You walked in there at 6'7", 300, and he went, "Hold up, who's this guy?"
that's all I was about to say.
He did. He rode my ass the
It
one
wasn't it wasn't my 6'2" ass walking into the offensive line room. Like that's your 6'7" ass like walking in there, and that coach being like, "Hold up, who's this cat?" What?
I'm about to say you probably just got pulled to the side, like what would have happened at a bigger camp. You know what I mean? They just pulled
yeah,
you. Just ended up with the good group. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Because they
But
go
that,
at all those big camps, they still gonna have to where it's gonna be probably 40. If we're talking about running backs, it's gonna be 40 running backs.
100%.
You think the running backs coach is looking at all 40, 50? No,
no.
See,
not.
But that North
He's gonna pick
Carolina
the
one, there
10.
was over 100 linemen. Just
100%.
He,
running.
See, I
he's
think
gonna pick 10 and then he's gonna roll with those 10 and work those
Mm-mm.
10 out and send the other ones with a GA or somebody or
100%.
with extra coaches. You
And
know what I
and
mean?
that's something that I respect, and I know we both worked it, so I know you know about. That's why I respect the Clemson camp so much, because at Clemson, that coach is going to be there working all those drills, right? You're getting coached by those guys, but then when you go to lunch, yeah, he's going to pull aside those top couple. He's going to spend some time with them, some one-on-one times. But when he's out there on the field, like those guys are coaching every single one of those guys' nuts off. But I've been
Mhm.
to some of those camps, and uh, I don't want to throw the names out there because the coaches are still there. But I've been to some of those camps where I watched the D line coach and one-on-one pass rush walk away for 10 minutes and go hang out by the cooler, filling up his little Gatorade cup, hitting on the water girl, while one-on-one pass rush is going on at camp, and just he's just letting the players just kind of do the thing. Like,
Yeah.
like it's the two different mentalities with it, and
And like I can respect it because like at a certain point, you if you at those bigger schools, as soon as them kids then walk through the door and they done ran through two drills, you know exactly who you looking at and who you're not looking at.
100%. But there ain't no doubt about it.
You
But
kind of making those distinctions, and you trying to keep from just looking at nothing. You know what I mean? And I understand that. Like I do respect that side of it, but what you can't respect is them just completely blowing it off. Like I don't think I would ever just completely blow it off. I would stand away. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But like I'm not just gonna completely walk away from the drill.
yeah,
That's crazy. You know
man.
what I
But
mean?
I see it as like no matter who these kids are, whether they're ever going to help you or not, this is one of the greatest experiences of their life, being able to go to camp at Clemson, at Georgia, at South Carolina, at Chapel Hill, whatever their dream school is, Florida, LSU, Alabama, right? Whatever their dream school is, they will never play for Alabama, but this is their one time to be around those coaches and that coaching staff. You very easily, giving minimal effort, can make it the most memorable experience of their college football career.
Yeah, and that's something I feel like I learned at NGU. One skill, one of many skills I feel like I learned at NGU was talking to the little guy. You know what I mean? Like just because I might not ever recruit him, don't mean I can't have a conversation with him. You know what I mean? Like you said, it might be the he might talk about this 10 years from now. You know what I'm saying? Like when he's my age now, he might be like, man, you remember that time I talked to Coach Bell? I wonder what he's doing now. You know what I mean? Yeah, he never recruited me. He didn't give me a lot of day in football, but my boy broke it down and talked to me a little bit. You know what I mean? He wasn't high and mighty, like walking around like, oh, I'm not gonna be around this guy. You know what I mean? And that's definitely probably the biggest thing that you can help with that.
No, 100%. I think the biggest difference that I had, because I know what camp Matt's talking about for his Carolina one, well, both Carolina ones, because I took him to the South Carolina one on my way down to senior week from Myrtle Beach. But the thing that I really did enjoy about the Chapel Hill camp when I went, Sam Pittman was the offensive line coach, the head coach at Arkansas.
Mhm.
And at the time when I went to that camp, I'm 5'9", 5'10" at that time, still trying to work to put on muscle, figuring it out kind of deal. And he pulled me to the side multiple times. Or he didn't pull, I shouldn't say that. I went up to have a conversation with him, and instead of him just walking and talking and blowing me off, he stopped, turned, and we had a one-on-one conversation.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about, hey, coach, I want to come play for you at the University of Chapel Hill. It was just about him just wanting to get to know me, making me feel special in that moment. And then after that conversation, I asked him for, hey, coach, look, what do I need to do to try to take my game to the next level? Whatever that level is, what do I need to do? And he took the extra 90 seconds to have a conversation with me that has stuck with me for life,
And
right?
see, sometimes coaches don't even understand. It's like that little conversation that he had with you beforehand could have broke the ice for you to be able to then have the courage to go ask him what I can work on. You know what I mean? And like a lot of coaches probably don't even realize that. It's just like, man, a kid might really, really want to ask you a question, but you acting all high and mighty and like you can't talk to him. So he's terrified. You know what I mean? Like he see you on TV. You know, like he's terrified to say
100%.
something. But if you bring
Mhm.
yourself down to his level and talk to him, he's a even if for hey, what's up, my boy? How you doing? Like, how's the camp been? Like, if it's even that, like he's now he feels 10 times more comfortable to even laugh around you, talk to you a little bit, even just a little bit. You know what I mean?
Oh
That's
yeah.
all it takes.
I think about Dabo at those Clemson camps, running around, not even having conversations with guys, just like, hey man, you enjoying camp so far? Just give him a fist bump, walk away. Like that kid for the rest, he's gonna go back to the school, and all his parents are gonna hear for the next 6 months is Dabo just fist bumped me.
Oh,
Like,
like little kids, like that's literally they've been looking at Dabo for 5 years. You know what I mean? On TV, and they just like, I just want to go walk up to this dude. You know what I mean?
100%. Like it's no, I think there's a lot to be said for those that take the time at these camps and to be able to do things what at least I consider to be the right way, and never acting too big. It doesn't matter. Here's the thing that I think a lot of people forget is it doesn't matter how much money you're making. It doesn't matter what kind of title you're holding. It doesn't matter where you came from or what you're doing. At the end of the day, every single person deserves simple respect until it's taken away. Like, man, if you can have those one-on-one conversations with somebody and just be real and show that you are true and genuine and that you're not too big for anybody, then it's amazing how far life will end up just taking you.
Yeah, for sure.
My
Just that.
Yeah.
my very first recruiting visit, and we'll end on this because I know it's getting late, but very first recruiting trip that I ever went on when I was at Greensboro College. Head coach and I went down, made a big old snag from Jacksonville down to Tampa and Orlando and Dayton and all that. But we get back, we stop in this gas station, and he goes and he has this conversation with the clerk up there, and he just asked, "Hey, how's your day going?" And she started going through, and she actually had been going through some really tough stuff, and you could tell that she just wanted to kind of let it out, and she just had to bitch to somebody for just real quick, and he just stood there, just smiled, and just let it happen. And I'm kind of standing there awkwardly trying to figure out. I'm 22 years old, right, and I'm trying to figure out what's happening right here. And he's just sitting there, just kind of nodding, just letting this woman just vent to him. Right? It took 90 seconds out of his life, and then we went and sat back in the car, and he said, "Never forget what the act of a simple smile can do for somebody."
Man, hey, preach.
And it's something that I've never forgot. Like it's one of the most memorable moments of my life that just asking somebody how their day is, just not going through the motions blind, not just putting your head down, even if it's the cashier. You've been in that gas station 1,000 times, and you just go in there, you just toss stuff on the counter, you just kind of ring it up and going. Man, just simply asking, "Hey, how's your day going? Doing all right?"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it kindness costs nothing, and I think a lot of coaches get into positions where they forget that. And
That's a that's
go ahead.
something like I would say that's super personal for me because like I know every day is different. You have your hard days, but like for me, no matter what I've done, I try to go into the day I'm working or going out, or if I'm not working, I always try to have a positive attitude because positive attitude with interactions with people because you don't know what other people are dealing with right then. You might be dealing with something that positivity, like you said with the coach, they might be going through something else and they just needed that, like, hey, how you doing this morning? Just like that positive upbeat. It's like, or just like saying hi to him. They're like, dang, he cares. And to the
Mhm.
person that might be thinking, no one cares about me. So that's something I do. I try to in my personal life try to be uplifting because you don't know who you're going to run into that might just be down that just needed that little pickup. So
100%.
And not to go too far off on a tangent, I guess to go back and kind of, because I know I kind of started that tangent, but to go off back to answer your first question, the best camps that I think it is. So if you're just trying to get, if you're a young guy, you're just trying to get some type of exposure, not necessarily recruitment, but like you're trying to just see where you at with the other athletes. within around your class. I think the mega counts are great. You know what I mean? For somebody like that, that's you just trying to see where you at. You know what I mean? Like you a ninth grader, you're a 10th grader, you just like, man, like, if I'm good enough, they're gonna look at me. But I'm just trying to see it's 50 running backs here, and where am I at in this 50? You know what I mean? Like, regardless of the class, I think the prospect counts are gonna get you the most exposure just because it's gonna be way less kids. You know what I mean? Instead of my running back group being 50 guys, it's 12. You know what I mean? 20
Mm-hmm.
at the most. And like your brother, like Matt said earlier, like at a certain point, I'm gonna split that 20 up to five. You know what I mean? Or
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
six, So uh I think those are definitely really good in that situation. But uh the other ones are just like the big Clemson camps or the big if you're going to like somewhere like Florida State or and like I can't say Wake because Wake still tries to keep their prospect count small, you know what I mean, just for that
Mm-hmm.
evaluation thing. Uh but like even those prospect counts because if you good enough, they're gonna pick you out of the litter and get you right. You know what I mean? Get you with the guys that you should be going with it with the position coach and now you really gonna see what you got going on. But I think like I said, the mega counts are definitely better for the guys like 10th grade and younger. And then for the guys 11th and 12th grade, you better go to those prospect counts. You know what I mean? Uh, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. I wasn't the guy that went to a lot of prospect counts. uh, I went to mostly like the little training stuff I got invited to, like the Nike training and stuff.
But you were also getting heavily recruited as a freshman, right? So I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of one of those deals where I think it's always interesting, right? Those that are getting recruited heavily don't need a whole lot of help when it comes to getting recruited because it just
Mm-hmm.
kind of comes like if you're at that level, but it's that next tier of guys that are kind of right there below where there's a little bit more of a pool that they've got to stand out in, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. You know, I really like what you said there about the if you want to see where you're at and see how you can compare against the best, then go to a mega camp and be honest with yourself and like, hey man, sometimes you can look at and be like, those 20 guys are a lot better than I am. So
Yeah.
I need to find a school that I can compete at, or I need to go work my tail off and try to get to where they are.
Mm-hmm.
The prospect camps a great way to start building relationships with those coaches, really allow you to stand out at those universities that you truly want to be at, right? And be able to kind of get a feel for their coaching style and the way they go about things and to really show out. And the thing with like the Georgia, South Carolina, Clemson, Florida State, Alabama, like all these big time schools, if you're a big fan of Georgia and you want to go see what it's like to be coached by Kirby Smart, by all means, I think you should go to that Georgia camp at least once and be able to go enjoy that experience and to live around that and take it in.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm a senior in high school and there's not a single SEC team that is looking at me,
Oh, that was
don't
what I.
go to Ole Miss, Auburn, Alabama, Georgia. Like you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. Unless you're going purely for the experience, you ain't getting recruited there. If they ain't talking to you now, they ain't gonna talk to you there. Outside of hey, how you doing? So I'm
Mm-hmm.
with you. I'm a firm believer of going to go get the experience at one of those places, or maybe even two of those places. You know, but that's not where you get recruited.
Go to the I see the North Greenville helmet in the background. Go to North Greenville, bro. You know what I mean? If you feel like you should be going to Clemson or going to South Carolina, what's another going to Coastal or Charleston Southern, and we just not talking to you, bro, go to the it's a lot of D2s in South Carolina. And I'm just talking about South Carolina right now. We can talk about other states at a later date,
Like
I guess.
100.
Like it's so many D2s in South Carolina that are powerhouses, that are really good programs, you know what I mean? That you
Go
can
to
go
go
to.
go to the Andersons, go to the Limestones, go to the Newberries, go to the Erskines, go to the North Greenfields. Like, you know, and here's the thing: like, even is 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 upper echelon as FCS is, go to the FCS schools. You know,
Cause I mean, we looking for like the group of five kids or power five kids that or the guys that think they're group of five, power five. You really FCS talent player. That don't mean
100%.
you're bad at all. That means you're just not as developed as
And
those power five, group of five guys.
and
Like
the relationships that coaches have with FCS coaches and Division two coaches, like those guys are usually going to be a lot tighter than coaches at with the FBS, right? Because once you start getting in the FBS, a lot of people kind of start separating themselves a little bit, right? And start hanging out more within some of that. And so even if I'm a kid in South Carolina and I'm a running back and I go to Charleston Southern, but I'm not quite Charleston Southern scholarship material,
I'm gonna go talk to Donnie Baker now.
Right? You can give him a call,
I'm
be like, yo, hey, you need to check this kid
gonna-
out. You need to go look at him. Right? He can play some friggin' ball because we talk. Like coaches talk. And who else do you talk about? All the kids getting recruited because you all are looking at the same pool of guys. Like the pool doesn't change, who you're going after does.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna know when if I'm recruiting in a school in South Carolina, I'm gonna know all the top dudes at my position in that state. I don't care if they're going to friggin' Georgia. I'm gonna know who they are because when they come up in conversation, I'm gonna know what's happening because that's my position group. That's my job. like, and so I don't think a lot of kids understand that. Like just because you go to one camp and you're not the guy there doesn't mean that he's not going to reach out to somebody. If you're that kind of guy and you work your tail off and you give him a reason to say this guy needs to be on somebody's team, he's going to help somebody out. It's not us because he's just not there yet, but he will help somebody out. They'll make those phone calls, but they don't do it if you show up and you just sit in your feelings and act like, man, I should be getting looked at. I hate talking to me, man. Screw this guy. I'm gonna. But if you in there and you busting your butt every chance you get, and you show a lot of heart, and you show that you're coachable, and you show a little bit of ability to go with it, man, you'll be amazed what kind of doors open for you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well,
But
well, Tyler, look, man, I greatly appreciate you being on here. We're definitely gonna have to get you back for another episode at some point in time because I feel like we could do this for hours.
yeah,
Um,
we
but
definitely could have. But
and man, at some point in time, hopefully we get this set up where we could actually do it in person at some point in time. But man, it's been great pleasure having you on. I want to give you a chance for anybody that's trying to find Tyler Bell or be able to follow you on social or Twitter or Instagram, whatever. I'm gonna give you a chance to give you a shout out for your handles. So where can the people find old T Bell at?
I'm about to say, I gotta look it up, But on Twitter, what I mean, definitely follow me. It's underscore coach T Bell, you know what I mean? Just the way it's spelled. It's spelled the exact way it's said. Nothing extra with that one. I mean, you can follow me on Instagram too. Really at T.Bell underscore 20. And it's really the only thing I use, man. I'm not even big on Instagram. You follow me on there, I might follow you back in 4 days. You know what I'm saying? But Twitter is where it's at. Twitter's where I'm at. Even in getting recruited, that's where I'm on Twitter 24/7. You know what I mean?
So you find go follow T Bell at underscore Coach T Bell there on Twitter for sure. Well, good deal. Well, guys, appreciate you being with us for the latest episode of the WV Sports Talk. We come out every other Friday, first and third Friday of the month, with an athlete or coach and talk about their journey and the journey of being an athlete as we talk athletes unscripted, where we just have conversations. And greatly appreciate you guys being here. We are brought to you by Vols Athletics, here for all of your athletic training and athletic recruiting questions and needs. Give us a shout at volsathletics.com. Until next time, I'm Brian Vols. This is my brother Matthew Vols. Thanks for being here. T Bell, appreciate it.
All right, my guy.